Chapter 3688. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. He had already concluded in his heart that this person was just scaring them. Let's not talk about anything else first. They had been fighting here for 3 days and 3 nights. And it was already the 4th day. Half of the 4th day had already passed. The battle of the 4 sovereign divine weapons had caused a huge commotion. If there were really people fighting on the other side, they would have already been alerted. Moreover, if there were really 2 ancestors, why would the golden dragons say it in front of him? After all, this was a huge advantage for them. There was no reason for him to do so. Anyone with a bit of intelligence would know that he would hide it from the other side first and wait for the 2 ancestors to come. When the other side was caught off guard, wouldn't that be a sure-win situation? But now, the golden dragons didn't mince words and didn't hide anything. What did this mean? It meant that he was scaring them and telling them to run for their lives. Still not running? Seems like you really want to die. The golden dragon sneered. Huh, your acting skills are not bad. But let me give you a piece of advice. Don't treat others as fools. Qin Feiyang sneered. The 3,000 incarnations once again activated the ultimacy. And this time, they activated the ultimacy of the Thunder Law and the War Law. What? He has already comprehended the ultimacy of the War Law. The Golden Dragon's trio's eyes trembled. What kind of monster was this? How long had it been since they last saw each other? He had actually comprehended another ultimacy. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before this lad could catch up with them, the supreme experts. Now, they were already no match for Qin Feiyang. When Qin Feiyang also became a supreme expert, wouldn't they be even more vulnerable? It was hard to imagine how this little bastard did it. In these short years, not only did he step into the sovereign great perfection from the undead realm, but he also comprehended 2 ultimacies of the Thunder Law and the War Law. This kind of growth speed was simply unprecedented in the past and would never be surpassed in the future. The next time you want to scare someone, please use your brain first. Don't end up embarrassing yourself like a clown. You'll only embarrass yourself. Qin Feiyang sneered. Instantly, his 4 profound meanings shot towards the 3 of them. Are you really trying to scare him? The White Dragon and Black Dragon patriarchs frowned. Why are you still concerned about this now? The chief of the Golden Dragons shouted angrily. When the 2 heard this, their hearts sank. It was obvious that he was trying to scare Qin Feiyang. It was fine if he succeeded. But now, he didn't scare the other party at all. At this point, they had no choice but to admit that this was a terrifying young man. Even at such a time, he could still maintain such a calm mind and calmly analyze and judge the truth of the other party's words. If it were anyone else, upon hearing that there were 2 patriarchs, they would have panicked and their first thought would be to escape immediately. In the past, without facing him head-on, they still felt that the rumors about Qin Feiyang outside were exaggerated. But now, he finally understood it completely. This was an extremely terrifying, extremely dangerous, and extremely difficult enemy to deal with. That's right. At this moment, they no longer treated Qin Feiyang as a junior. Instead, they treated him as a real strong enemy, an opponent on the same level as them. Of course, right now, they didn't have the guts to still treat Qin Feiyang as a junior. But it seems that you don't have the chance to scare others anymore. As Qin Feiyang's voice fell, the 3,000 clones activated the Super Forbidden Technique, 9 Underworld Dragon Flames. Super Forbidden Technique. The 3 of them trembled. Not only my Super Forbidden Technique, but also your Super Forbidden Technique, Divine Dragon Domain. This time, you won't be able to escape. Qin Feiyang shouted. The 3,000 clones activated the Eye of Heaven and replicated the Divine Dragon Domain. The Super Forbidden Technique of the Dragons, Divine Dragon Domain, was the same as the Qilin clan's Super Forbidden Technique, Qilin God domain. Not only did it have an extremely strong defense, but it also had an extremely shocking lethality. 6,000 supreme laws of paramount profound truths, 6,000 ordinary laws of supreme profound meanings, 3,009 underworld dragon flames, and 3,000 divine dragon domains. Moreover, whether it was the various supreme laws, 9 underworld dragon flames, or divine dragon domain, they were all the most powerful means under the sovereign weapon and ultimate profound. Not to mention the opponent, even Li Feng, who was standing beside Qin Feiyang, couldn't help but tremble in fear when he saw such means. The rumors were true. In today's Sky Cloud realm, except for the Dragon King and the other lords of Forbidden Zones, no one was Qin Deja's opponent. Die. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. All the supreme profound skills and super forbidden techniques flooded toward the three of them like a tide. Qin Feiyang, you won't have a good death. Let me tell you, don't even think about leaving the Sky Bell divine treasure alive. This is the place where your gods are buried. Explode. The three of them roared furiously one after another. Their huge divine dragon bodies exploded in the void immediately. Waves of destructive energy swept out in all directions like raging waves in the ocean. Self-destruct. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng's expressions changed drastically. They never thought that the three of them would self-destruct so decisively. Please. Qin Feiyang looked at the 3,000 incarnations and immediately took Li Feng with him. They used the spacetime step, turned around, and flew away at lightning speed. Boom! The 3,000 incarnations attacked at the same time, and the power of laws roared out, forming a barrier that was as tall as the sky and blocked the explosion. Qin Deja. They're actually willing to self-destruct? Could it be that they left their divine souls outside? Li Feng was surprised. Obviously. Qin Feiyang was furious. After all, they were all formidable characters. Why were they so afraid of death? But there was nothing he could do. If the other party wanted to leave their divine souls outside, what could he do? He couldn't order them not to. Besides, no one would listen to his orders. He could only say that it was a waste of effort. No. It wasn't a waste of effort. There was also the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear. Qin Feiyang roared at the top of his lungs, "Ancient castle, sword of the Grim Reaper, don't let the white dragon sword and the others escape." At the same time, with a heaven-shaking explosion, the barrier condensed from the power of laws by the 3,000 incarnations collapsed. It had to be said. The power of the self-destruction of a supreme expert could be described as devastating. It was countless times more terrifying than a super forbidden technique. Even the 3,000 incarnations couldn't stop it and were instantly turned into ashes. Fortunately, the 3,000 incarnations also helped Qin Feiyang and Li Feng stall for some time. Now that they had already escaped to a safe area, they turned around and looked at the apocalyptic scene. The two of them couldn't help but sweat profusely. In the future, when facing a supreme expert, they must not give the other party the chance to self-destruct. Otherwise, they would end up in mutual destruction. Clang! At this moment, the sword of the Grim Reaper flew above Qin Feiyang, swept up Qin Feiyang and Li Feng, and rushed to the battlefield where the ancient castle was located. "Where's the golden dragon spear?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Don't think about subduing all of them at once. If the three sovereign divine weapons really want to fight with us, even if we keep them, we will have to pay a heavy price. Moreover, those two swords are still an uncertain factor. What if they suddenly betray us? So, instead of drawing water with a bamboo basket, it's better to take a step back and meet up with the ancient castle first. For the time being, we can subdue the white dragon sword or the black dragon mirror." The sword of the Grim Reaper said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang's heart trembled, and he apologized, "I'm sorry, I was too anxious." "It's fine. Actually, I know what you mean. As long as we subdue the golden dragon spear, white dragon sword, and black dragon mirror, these three sovereign divine weapons, we will have the ability to truly contend against the dragons in the future. But you have to remember, there are some things that cannot be rushed. Especially when facing the sovereign divine weapons, if we are not careful, not only might we not be able to subdue them, we might even cause ourselves to fall into a state of eternal damnation. The sword of the Grim Reaper warned. N. Qin Feiyang nodded. In any case, he had a full 1,000 years in the heavenly bell divine treasure, so he could take it slow. While they were talking, the sword of the Grim Reaper brought Qin Feiyang and Li Feng back to the battlefield where the ancient castle was located. The black dragon mirror and white dragon sword had already sensed the self-destruction of the three dragons and were trying their best to break out of the encirclement. It was really as the sword of the Grim Reaper had said. The two sovereign divine weapons were ruthless, and the ancient castle, the golden battle sword, and the silver battle sword were already showing signs of being unable to stop them. The sword of the Grim Reaper secretly shouted, "Ancient castle, let the black dragon mirror go, subdue the white dragon sword first." At the same time, the sword of the Grim Reaper condensed a barrier, protecting Qin Feiyang and Li Feng, and then directly charged into the battlefield, targeting the white dragon sword. Who was the ancient castle? Hearing the words of the sword of the Grim Reaper, they understood the purpose of the sword of the Grim Reaper. Immediately, it ignored the black dragon mirror and charged towards the white dragon sword. What's going on? Seeing the black dragon mirror take the opportunity to escape, and the ancient castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper did not stop them, the golden and silver battle swords could not help but be stunned. But soon, they understood the meaning of the ancient castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper. You want to use us to subdue this sovereign divine weapon? Do you really think we're free fighters? The two sovereign divine weapons were immediately dissatisfied. Whether it was the dragons from before or this human brat, they were all sinister fellows. Qin Feiyang sensed that something was wrong, and immediately shouted, "Seniors, I don't ask for your help, but I beg you not to interfere. After this junior will definitely thank you greatly." Sure enough, there were two uncertain factors. If at this time, the two swords really wanted to interfere, then it would really be like using a wicker basket to draw water. Thank you greatly. What kind of treasure do you think you have that can enter the eyes of our dignified sovereign divine weapon? The golden and silver battle swords retreated from the battlefield, their tone filled with contempt. Only the ancient castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper remained on the battlefield, firmly entangling the white dragon sword. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang realized that the golden dragon spear and the black dragon mirror had not really left. They were watching the battlefield from afar, as if they were looking for an opportunity to rescue the white dragon sword. The position of the two swords was unknown. The golden dragon spear and the black dragon mirror were hiding in the distance, eyeing them covetously. This caused the situation to become delicate. In short, the biggest trouble had come. Chapter 3689. Facing the questions thrown by the two swords, Qin Feiyang really had no way to answer. Because he couldn't think of anything that could catch the eye of the sovereign divine weapon. In the past, when he subdued the horsetail whisk and the blood dragon blade, he had forced them to swear a blood oath. But now, the conditions didn't allow it. First of all, strength. He was unable to open the slaughter domain, so he lacked a method to threaten the sovereign divine weapon. The blood dragon blade, the horsetail whisk, and the sovereign divine weapon of the demon palace and the heavenly palace were all in the hands of the madman, the white-eyed wolf, and Yun Xiang. If the madman, the white-eyed wolf, Yun Xiang, and the Master Jura had already come to meet them, it would be easy to deal with them and directly use force. But now, he only had the sword of the Reaper and the castle, the two sovereign divine weapons. Secondly, there were the conditions. The black dragon mirror and the golden dragon spear were eyeing him covetously from the side, obviously not wanting to let him do as he wished. So, could he subdue the white dragon sword now? No. It should be said that whether or not there was a chance to subdue the white dragon sword now depended entirely on the will of these two swords. Actually, this wasn't the thing that worried him the most. What he was most worried about was that if these two swords changed sides and joined forces with the white dragon sword and the other two sovereign divine weapons to deal with them, then the situation would be precarious. After all, at that time, it would be a 5 against 2 situation. 5 against 2, the castle and the sword of the Reaper had to protect themselves while taking care of him and Li Feng at the same time. Tell us, how do you want to bribe us? Our appetite is not ordinary. If you can't satisfy us, I'm afraid you will follow in the footsteps of the dragons and the other two. The threat of the golden and silver swords was no longer concealed. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists. You don't want to listen to my kind words, do you? Do you want to force me to fall out with you? Fine. At most, I'll compromise now. After I meet up with everyone, I'll slowly settle the score with you. Qin Feiyang made a prompt decision, and sent a sound transmission to the sword of the Reaper in the castle, prepare to retreat. Although he was extremely unwilling, for everyone's safety, he had to do this. He could ignore his own life, but he could not ignore the castle and the sword of the Reaper. Especially the ancient castle. It had been helping him all these years. He couldn't let anything happen to it. All right. The two sovereigns' divine weapons replied. In fact, they also had the idea of retreating temporarily. The current situation was too passive, but out of consideration for Qin Feiyang, they did not mention it. Because they knew Qin Feiyang too well. After putting in so much effort, he ended up with nothing. He must be feeling terrible. This was true love. While Qin Feiyang was thinking about them, they were also thinking about Qin Feiyang's feelings. Only the white dragon sword was fighting against the castle and the sword of the Thanatos. Therefore, it was easy for the castle and the sword of the Thanatos to leave. Boom! The two sovereign divine weapons shook off the white dragon sword and instantly arrived in front of Qin Feiyang and Li Feng. Then, they took the two of them away without looking back. This sudden turn of events not only stunned the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear, but even the two swords were caught off guard. When they came back to their senses, the white dragon sword immediately rushed to meet up with the black dragon mirror and the golden dragon spear. You want to leave? The golden and silver swords seemed to be angry when they came back to their senses. They immediately chased after Qin Feiyang and the others. What should we do? The black dragon mirror asked. The golden dragon spear pondered for a moment and said, this might be a good opportunity. Let's follow them. Whoosh! The three sovereign divine weapons also chased after them. Li Feng turned around and saw the 5 sovereign divine weapons chasing after him. His face was filled with surprise and he said, are they going to team up again? These two uncertain factors are really troublesome. Qin Feiyang was furious. If it were the blood dragon blade, the horsetail whisk, the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear, the 3 sovereign divine weapons, they would not be able to escape from him. He would settle this score with them sooner or later. An hour later. The 5 sovereign divine weapons were still chasing after them. They were all sovereign divine weapons, so their speed was about the same. The ancient castle and the Grim Reaper's sword could not shake off the 5 sovereign divine weapons. The 5 sovereign divine weapons could not catch up to them. However, they could not keep chasing like this. After all, there were other dangers in the Sky Bell divine treasure. If they encountered the dragons, the Feng people, or the Kirin clan, they would not be able to escape. Even if we encounter people, we hope to meet our allies. The Grim Reaper's sword sighed. If the other party wanted to keep chasing, they could not do anything. If they stopped now, they might face the danger of the 5 sovereign divine weapons joining forces. In the blink of an eye, another day passed. Along the way, they did not encounter the dragons, the Feng people, or the Kirin clan. They did not encounter the heavenly cloud sea, the beast emperors, or the divine beasts of the land of buried gods. They survived the day without any danger. As for the human-shaped skeletons and ferocious beast skeletons, they encountered many of them. However, in the face of the sovereign divine weapons, they were not qualified to interfere. They could not even get close to Qin Feiyang and the others. In the evening, the sky darkened. The heavenly bell divine treasure gradually sank into deep darkness. When the castle and the Grim Reaper's sword took Qin Feiyang and fled to the sky above a lake, a strong sense of uneasiness suddenly rose in their hearts. However, they were not sure where this uneasiness came from. The lake was hundreds of thousands of miles long, like a vast sea. The lake water was a strange dark green. Around the lake, there were endless towering mountains, but it was no different from other places. It was incomparably dilapidated and desolate. You actually fled here, aren't you courting death? Behind. The golden and silver swords laughed. Hearing this, not only Qin Feiyang and Li Feng, but also the castle, the Grim Reaper's sword, and the White Dragon sword, the three sovereign divine weapons, could not help but be surprised. Old devil, help us stop the two humans in front. The golden sword roared. Crash! In the center of the lake below, a wave suddenly rose. A dark green light rushed out of the lake and blocked in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. Waves of divine power rushed toward Qin Feiyang and the others. What? Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. Another sovereign-level divine weapon. Could it be that these sovereign divine weapons were the ones controlling the Sky Bell divine treasure? It was a square cauldron. It was dark green all over, about the size of a palm, and there were ghost-like heads engraved on all four sides, exuding a terrifying cold aura. Humans. It seems that the divine treasure has been opened. The green cauldron let out a hoarse voice and immediately turned into a giant cauldron, exuding a ferocious power that could destroy heaven and earth. Kill it! The Grim Reaper's sword roared. Boom! The castle and the Grim Reaper's sword erupted with monstrous power and blasted toward the green cauldron. With a loud clang, the green cauldron was successfully sent flying, but at the same time, the castle and the Grim Reaper's sword paused for a moment. It was also during this pause that the five sovereign divine weapons, the golden sword, the silver sword, the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear, caught up and stopped Qin Feiyang and the others. From the looks of it, they really want to join forces. Li Feng glanced at the five sovereign divine weapons, his face slightly pale. Now, with the addition of the green cauldron, there were 6 sovereign divine weapons. How could they fight this? It was over. Run. Continue. Let's see where you can run to. The golden sword snickered. Qin Feiyang's eyes darkened slightly. These 2 sovereign divine weapons were really annoying. But suddenly, an idea flashed in his mind. The 2 swords didn't know him well, but the white dragon sword, the 3 sovereign divine weapons, knew him well. Instead of trying to persuade these 2 swords, it was better to persuade the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear. As long as he could persuade these 3 sovereign divine weapons, he could naturally turn defeat into victory. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice, white dragon sword, black dragon mirror, golden dragon spear, can you listen to me? Why don't we join forces and suppress them first? What? Now that you have no way out, you're asking for help from us. Didn't you want to subdue us yesterday? The white dragon sword sneered. Back then in the Yin Devil land, it had been played around with by Qin Feiyang. It had never forgotten this humiliation. Actually, you don't have to hate me like this. Because my enemy is the dragons, not you. We can be friends who can rely on each other and fight side by side. They don't know what kind of person I, Qin Feiyang, am, but don't you know? To friends, to comrades, I can protect them at all costs. Look at the blood dragon blade, look at the horsetail whisk, how good are we now? I respect them, and they respect me. But what about the dragons? What can they give you? They can't give you anything. Instead, they only know how to ask from you. Because you are sovereign divine weapons and have invincible fighting strength, they only want to display your value. Once you lose your value, you will inevitably become cannon fodder in their hands. In other words, they are only using you and have no feelings for you at all. For example, the blood dragon blade. Back in the sea of heavenly clouds, when the Dragon King asked me to hand over the blood dragon blade, I found that the Dragon King already wanted to kill the blood dragon blade. But I'm different. I sincerely respect you. It's also because of this that I risked offending the Dragon King to protect the blood dragon blade. Qin Feiyang sighed. The three sovereign divine weapons fell silent. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang struck while the iron was hot and continued to persuade them secretly, if you choose me now, I promise that you will never regret your choice today. I will use practical actions to prove my sincerity and determination to you. Moreover, you know that I have an independent world. Tell me the truth. In the future, the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan may not be stronger than me. We humans have a famous saying that a good bird chooses a good tree to nest in. Think about it carefully. Between me and the dragons, who is the good tree that you need the most? Qin Feiyang tried his best to persuade him, and his words were filled with confidence. For him, surpassing the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan was only a matter of time. Chapter 3690. Are you sure you are talented? However, this will have to wait until you have fully grown up. The black dragon mirror sneered. My current strength is obvious to all of you. Apart from you sovereign divine weapons, there is also Dragon King and Feng Ho. Who is my opponent? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. You underestimate the heritage of the Forbidden Zones too much. If it weren't for the Dominator weapons in the castle helping you, any expert from the Forbidden Lands who grasped the ultimate profound would be able to kill you instantly. If you want to truly have a place in the Sky Cloud realm, you can only become an existence like Dragon King and the others. The golden dragon spear coldly snorted. I know. I also believe that I can do it. Qin Feiyang said firmly. The three sovereign divine weapons fell silent again. According to the current situation, Qin Feiyang indeed has the potential. However, it is really hard to say what will happen in the future. If they choose Qin Feiyang now, it is tantamount to betraying the Dragon King. If in the future, Qin Feiyang accidentally dies, then who can they find to reason with? The Dragon King will definitely not let them go at that time. In other words, this is a bet. They don't dare to gamble, nor can they afford to gamble. Why are you so quiet? Where is the arrogance from before? The two sovereign divine swords looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously, their words full of ridicule. Qin Feiyang looked at the two sovereign divine swords, then looked at the green cauldron. His eyes sank slightly, and suddenly looked at the white dragon sword and the three sovereign divine swords. A drop of blood essence broke out of his body. What are you doing? The six sovereign divine weapons looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. I, Qin Feiyang, make a blood oath. If today, you choose me, Qin Feiyang, I, Qin Feiyang, will protect you with my life. I will never betray you, never abandon you, and share honor and disgrace with you. Qin Feiyang shouted. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. 3 oaths descended from the sky, but they did not enter Qin Feiyang's body. This was because the white dragon sword, one of the 3 sovereign divine weapons, had not agreed to choose Qin Feiyang. As long as they agreed, the blood oath would be considered complete. This is, the hearts of the 3 sovereign divine weapons trembled. I believe that all of you should be familiar with the blood oath by now. Once an oath is made, it can never be broken. This is my sincerity, my determination. I, Qin Feiyang, am willing to live and die with you. If I violate this oath, I will be punished by the heavens. Qin Feiyang spoke word by word, his voice was sonorous and forceful. He stared at the three sovereign divine weapons and roared, "Is this not enough to move you?" Every word was like a bolt of lightning that struck the minds of the three sovereign divine weapons, causing them to struggle in their hearts. It had always been them who used their own lives to protect others. They had always been the only ones who were betrayed and abandoned by humans after losing their value. But now, there was a human who was willing to protect them with his life. And he would never betray them, never abandon them, and live and die with them. He had even made a blood oath. As sovereign divine weapons, they had eternal lifespan. But in this eternity, this was the first time they truly felt a person's sincerity and affection. This feeling of being cared for, being protected, being treated as a comrade, and being treated as a comrade was very warm. So he was secretly persuading them to surrender. Good, good, good. Humans are indeed insidious and cunning. The golden sword and the silver sword also finally came to a realization. Divine might surged forth as they roared, "Old devil, lend us a hand." As their voices fell, they immediately charged toward Qin Feiyang and the others. With a loud clang, the green cauldron also joined the battle and charged toward the castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper. It seems that we can only fight to the death. The castle took a deep breath. Then let's fight. As long as it is vigorous, what is there to be afraid of? The sword of the Grim Reaper laughed loudly. Boom! The castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper left behind a barrier and charged toward the three sovereign divine weapons. As long as it is vigorous, what is there to be afraid of? The three sovereign divine weapons murmured. It seemed that in these endless years, they had gradually lost their courage and fighting spirit. As sovereign divine weapons, the strongest existences in the world, they did not even have this courage. Wasn't this a joke? Okay. I promise you. In the future, we will live and die together, sharing honor and disgrace. The Black Dragon Mirror said. As his voice fell, one of the seals was completed and merged into Qin Feiyang's body. You, the White Dragon Sword and the Golden Dragon Spear were shocked. He actually chose Qin Feiyang. He has a point. In the Dragon Clan, their demands and our sacrifices are taken for granted. They have never really thought about us. They have never respected our wishes. Now that someone has made such an oath, what is there to hesitate about? As for what will happen in the future, I dare not say, but at least for now, my heart is very warm and touched. After saying this, the Black Dragon Sword also left a barrier around Qin Feiyang and Li Feng before immediately joining the battle. The situation was instantly evened out. 3 on 3. The pressure on the castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper was greatly reduced. Warm and touched, indeed. I have never felt this way before. Now that I have, why should I resist? The Golden Dragon Spear laughed out loud and shouted, "Qin Feiyang, this sovereign also agrees to your request. However, you must remember today's blood oath. If there comes a day when you do something that lets this sovereign down, this sovereign will definitely not let you off easily." The second seal was completed. A smile appeared on Qin Feiyang's face. He looked at the Golden Dragon Spear and said, "If I really do something to betray you, the blood oath will erase me. I feel much better now. Then let's kill the enemies." The Golden Dragon Spear let out a heroic laugh and also left a barrier around Qin Feiyang and Li Feng before immediately joining the battle. 4 on 3. The balanced situation was immediately reversed. What do you think? Qin Feiyang looked at Bai Longjian. Bai Longjian snorted coldly, "You should know how much I hate you, right?" "I know. But at that time in the Yin Devil land, facing your pursuit, I definitely had to think of a way to escape. I couldn't just stand there and let you kill me. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Bai Longjian remained silent. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and bowed. I, Qin Feiyang, rarely bow my head. Today, I will take the initiative to bow my head to you. Please forgive my previous offense. Looking at this scene, Bai Longjian's expression did not change, but no one knew what was going on in his heart. Anyway, he was still silent. I have seen the prince of the White Dragon clan. The patriarch of the White Dragon clan was forced by me to self-destruct. May I ask? Don't you feel wrong to work for them? I know. This is the Dragon King's order. You have no choice but to listen. But doesn't this reflect that the Dragon King has never regarded the true value of your Dominator divine weapons from the beginning to the end? I think that in his eyes, the significance of your Dominator divine weapons is nothing more than a sharp blade in the hands of the dragons. Think about it. Will such a person truly trust you and respect you? Qin Feiyang smiled and said. Although it was not so impassioned and inspiring, every sentence hit the nail on the head. Bai Longjian finally reacted and asked, will you truly respect us? Trust us? Of course. Time will prove everything. But the premise is that you have to give me a chance to prove it. Qin Feiyang nodded. People's hearts change. Bai Longjian said meaningfully. This also depends on who it is. Qin Feiyang smiled. Huh, Bai Longjian laughed loudly. Qin Feiyang looked at it expectantly. I have to admit that you have moved this sovereign. All right. Let's give each other a chance. Let time prove everything. Clang. As the voice fell, Bai Longjian's divine power surged and also left a barrier around Qin Feiyang and Li Feng. Then, it attacked the two battle swords and the green cauldron. The third seal was finally completed. For Qin Feiyang, this was even happier than obtaining the epitome of the war law and the thunder law. Subduing 3 Dominator divine weapons was something that others would never be able to accomplish. But now, he did it. With the addition of these 3 Dominator divine weapons, he was like a tiger that had grown wings. Bai Longjian, Black Dragon Mirror, Golden Dragon Spear, Horsetail Whisk, Blood Dragon Blade, Ancient Castle, Thanatos Sword, plus the Sky Palace and Demon Palace's Dominator divine weapons. Now, he already had 9 Dominator divine weapons. Plus the Slaughter Domain, with his current foundation, even if he returned to the Sky Cloud Realm now, he would be able to compete with a Forbidden Zone. The human race already had the foundation to not fear the 3 Forbidden Zones. Similarly, also because of the betrayal of the Blood Dragon Blade, White Dragon Sword, Black Dragon Mirror, and Golden Dragon Spear, the strength of the dragons had plummeted. However, it wasn't over yet. He wanted to nibble away the strength of the dragon step by step, disintegrate the dragon's foundation, and let the dragons walk towards destruction step by step. Li Feng, who was beside him, silently witnessed the entire process. In his heart, he admired and feared Qin Feiyang. Although the process of persuading the 3 Dominator divine weapons was very difficult, the righteousness that Qin Feiyang showed and the respect for the Dominator divine weapons was something that no one could compare to. Moreover, there was no deception. A pure heart. Was this Qin Dage's way of doing things? Heart. True feelings, it seemed simple, but in this world full of fame and wealth, full of selfish desires, it was too difficult to maintain this original heart. Especially in the face of the Dominator divine weapon. The Dominator divine weapon was the strongest divine weapon in the world. Everyone could only see their strength and the fame and wealth that they could bring to themselves. In other words, it was all to satisfy their own selfish desires that they yearned for the Dominator divine weapon. But the man in front of him was different. Li Feng could clearly feel that Qin Feiyang persuaded the White Dragon Sword and the other Dominator divine weapons mainly for the sake of the entire human race. Because the status of the human race in the Sky Cloud realm was too weak, and they could face the risk of extinction at any time. Someone had to stand up and lead the human race. Of course. There was definitely some selfishness. After all, Qin Feiyang was not a saint. But the public had to be bigger than the private. Chapter 3691. Boom. Crack. Now that it was 5 against 3, the golden sword and the silver sword were extremely annoyed. They never thought that it would turn out like this. The green cauldron was even more depressed. It came here for no reason. And asked for its help for no reason. All right. For the sake of their many years of friendship, it helped. However, why did the 3 sovereign divine weapons, which were originally opposing the 2 humans, suddenly side with them? Until now, it still didn't know what was going on. Qin Feiyang looked at the battlefield, his eyes flashing. The ancient castle, the sword of the Grim Reaper, the white dragon sword, the golden dragon spear, and the black dragon realm all had a protective barrier. The protection of the 5 barriers, coupled with the ancient castle and the other 5 sovereign divine weapons, had deliberately moved the battlefield far away, so now his and Li Feng's safety was guaranteed. However, it was not easy for the ancient castle and the other 5 sovereign divine weapons to severely injure the golden sword, the silver sword, and the green cauldron. Because, in terms of numbers, they did not have the advantage of 2 against 1. One had to know. Even in a 2 against 1 situation, it would take a lot of time to defeat the existence of the sovereign divine weapon. For example, in the process of fighting with the Blood Hall, the ancient castle had repeatedly used its own strength to stall the 2 sovereign divine weapons. Of course. If the ancient castle and the others were given enough time now, in the end, none of the 3 sovereign divine weapons would be able to escape. But at present, Qin Feiyang was worried about one thing. Things would change if he delayed. He didn't dare to drag on like this. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. He looked at the green cauldron and said, "You have nothing to do with this. If you leave now, I won't make things difficult for you." As long as the green cauldron didn't interfere, the 5 against 2 situation would be completely crushed. Old devil, I don't want to believe his words. He even subdued the 3 sovereign divine weapons one by one. He definitely won't let us go. Don't worry. With such a big commotion, it will soon alert our old friends nearby. When they all arrive, won't it be easy to kill this human? The golden sword laughed sinisterly. What did he say? Old friends? Is there a sovereign divine weapon nearby? Li Feng was surprised. Qin Feiyang felt a chill in his heart. As a sovereign weapon, the golden sword wouldn't be so childish as to scare them. He had to end the battle quickly. Otherwise, if he really alarmed those so-called old friends nearby, the situation would become very bad. Suddenly, Bai Longjian opened his mouth and said somewhat angrily, "Old devil, we've been fighting for so long, yet you still haven't recognized me?" Lu Ding was bewildered. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng looked at each other. What was going on? Could it be that Bai Longjian and Lu Ding knew each other? Bai Longjian said, "The last time the Heavenly Bell Divine Treasury opened, the dragons, the Feng people, and the Qilin race joined forces to forcefully subdue you. Do you still remember who saved you from their hands and returned you your freedom?" Hearing this, the green cauldron trembled and said angrily, "So it's you. You're with them. Not bad. That's me." Bai Longjian replied proudly. "Bastard. I'm going to kill you." Green Cauldron was instantly enraged, as if he had seen an enemy. "Kill me? Let's see if you have the ability." Bai Longjian snorted disdainfully and continued, "I'm telling you this now, not because I want to continue being your enemy. I want you to remember who saved you from the dragons, the Feng people, and the Qilin race. I remember it was a human. And he seems to be a very amazing human. The dragons, the Feng people, and the Qilin race seemed to call him the Feather Emperor. Lu Ding said intermittently as he recalled. Feather Emperor? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Wasn't this the ancestor? The ancestor actually saved this green cauldron from the dragons, the Feng people, and the Qilin race back then? It seems that your memory is not bad. Then I'll tell you now. The young man standing over there called Qin Feiyang is the direct descendant of the Feather Emperor. Bai Longjian said. What? Lu Ding shook slightly. His divine sense enveloped Qin Feiyang and asked, You're the descendant of the Feather Emperor? Yes. The Feather Emperor is this junior's ancestor. Qin Feiyang nodded. Lu Ding asked suspiciously, But why do you have the bloodline power of the purple gold divine dragon? Qin Feiyang was about to speak. Bai Longjian spoke first. It's a long story. I don't have time to explain it to you now. The Feather Emperor saved your life back then and gave you your freedom. Now that you've met his descendant, you're not going to repay kindness with enmity, are you? How can you prove that he's the descendant of the Feather Emperor? If you can prove it, I'll immediately retreat to the side. Lu Ding said angrily. Bai Longjian pondered for a moment and asked, Qin Feiyang, do you have the Feather Emperor's token? No. As you know, I've only seen the ancestor a few times. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then this is really difficult. Bai Longjian was a little annoyed. Old devil, don't be fooled by them. They're just taking advantage of your gratitude to the Feather Emperor. The golden and silver swords roared. You're courting death. Hearing this, Lu Ding was furious and attacked Bai Longjian crazily. Bastard. Although he doesn't have the token, he and the Feather Emperor both have the surname Qin. Even if their bloodlines are different, they still belong to the same lineage. With your strength, as long as you look carefully, you'll definitely be able to recognize it. Bai Longjian roared. Hearing this, Lu Ding suppressed the anger in his heart and landed outside the barrier with a clang, saying, Do you dare to let me check your bloodline power? Of course. Qin Feiyang nodded. Okay. The green cauldron unleashed its full power, smashing apart the barriers set up by the 5 sovereign divine weapons. It then released a terrifying divine aura, isolating the shockwaves from the battle outside. Qin Dage, be careful. Li Feng secretly became alert. Now, if Lu Ding suddenly attacked them, even the 5 sovereign divine weapons wouldn't be able to save them in time. Don't panic. Qin Feiyang comforted Li Feng and looked at Lu Ding calmly. Lu Ding's divine sense instantly shrouded Qin Feiyang. Time passed by bit by bit. The 5 sovereign divine weapons took the opportunity to attack the golden and silver swords crazily. The 2 sovereign divine weapons wailed in pain. Cracks began to appear on the surface of his body. This was a situation where 5 against 2. There was no chance to escape. A moment later. Lu Ding retracted his divine sense and said with a bit of excitement, Your bloodline power does contain some of the Feather Emperor's aura. There's no need to lie to you. I'm really the descendant of the Feather Emperor. And it was the ancestor who personally sent me to the Sky Bell divine treasure. Qin Feiyang smiled. Lu Ding was silent for a while and slowly retracted his murderous aura, saying, I didn't expect to meet his descendant after so many years. This should be the so-called fate. How is the Feather Emperor now? The ancestor is doing well. If not for the fact that the ancestor has mastered the ultimate meaning of the strongest law, he would have come personally. Qin Feiyang smiled. He has already mastered the ultimate meaning of the strongest law. It seems that he hasn't been idle all these years. All right. I was blind before. Please forgive me. Lu Ding said with an apologetic smile after feeling a little emotional. It's okay. Qin Feiyang quickly waved his hand. All right. Since you're the descendant of the Feather Emperor, I'll give you a hand now. Lu Ding said and immediately sent Qin Feiyang and Li Feng to a safe area. Just in case, he deliberately left a protective barrier and then turned to go to the battlefield. What is he going to do? Li Feng was surprised. I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. When Green Cauldron returned to the battlefield, the 5 Dominator weapons were shocked. Green Cauldron went straight for the gold and silver swords. Old devil, what are you doing? Do you really believe their nonsense? The 2 swords roared angrily. The aura of the bloodline power can't be wrong. Lu Ding snorted coldly. The sword of Thanatos, white dragon sword, black dragon mirror, and golden dragon spear came back to their senses and couldn't help but laugh. Together with Lu Ding, they crazily attacked the 2 swords. The situation of 6 against 3 was even more ruthless. The 2 swords were full of regret. First, white dragon sword, black dragon mirror, and golden dragon spear surrendered, and now this old devil turned hostile. How did a sure-win situation turn out like this? Stop fighting. We'll break if you continue. We'll beg for mercy. Please let us go. In less than 100 breaths, the 2 swords began to beg. They couldn't escape and couldn't win. What else could they do but beg for mercy? Now you know to beg for mercy. When you were chasing us, didn't you look like you were going to kill us? And you want us to fulfill your request? Who do you think you are? The sword of Thanatos sneered. He didn't buy it. He had to take revenge. White dragon sword, black dragon mirror, and golden dragon spear were also full of resentment. At that time, if it weren't for these 2 bastards interfering, how could Qin Feiyang force the 3 of them to self-destruct? He was not a gentleman if he did not take revenge. He had to pay the price for being arrogant. Gotcha. After another fierce beating, the 2 swords shattered into pieces, and the divine light dimmed. Really, don't hit us anymore. We're all broken. Please. We know we were wrong. Please give us a chance. The 2 swords begged endlessly. Then are you still arrogant? White dragon sword snorted coldly. I don't dare anymore. The 2 swords trembled. The sword of Thanatos asked, then do you still need us to give you treasures that can enter your eyes? No, no, we were just joking. How would we dare to ask for it? The 2 great war swords obeyed, as humble as their grandsons. If I don't beat you up, you won't be honest. The sword of Thanatos coldly snorted, erased the battle fluctuations in this world, and shouted, Qin Feiyang, come here. Done. Hearing the voice of the sword of Thanatos, the 2 immediately flew to the center of the battlefield. The distance was too far for the naked eye to see. But soon, they saw the 2 swords surrounded by the 6 sovereigns' divine weapons. Looking at the 2 swords that were in a sorry state, Li Feng was stunned, and said with a wry smile, originally, they were going to help us suppress them. It seems that the sovereign divine weapons here are all in their own places, and there is no real friendship. Qin Feiyang nodded. Let alone the 2 great swords, even he was quite surprised to see this scene. Chapter 3692. Landing beside the ancient castle, Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 great swords and laughed. You didn't expect it to fall into my hands so quickly, right? The world is unpredictable, the world is unpredictable. The 2 great swords laughed embarrassedly. Humph. Qin Feiyang snorted from his nose, and said, you should be glad that I can't enter the Black Tortoise realm now, otherwise I would have made you stay in the Soul Sealing Valley for a while. Soul Sealing Valley. White dragon sword, black dragon mirror, and golden dragon spear heard this and couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. Back then, Qi Xiong and the others ambushed Qin Feiyang and the others. In the end, they were betrayed by the blood dragon blade, and all the patriarchs were seriously injured, and their souls were suppressed in the Soul Sealing Valley. Although they didn't see it with their own eyes, when the Golden Dragon Chief and the others returned to the dragon's nest, they also heard about it. A huge cesspool. The stench was overwhelming. In such a place, not to mention ordinary people, even they, as sovereign divine weapons, would change their expressions upon hearing the news. However, green cauldron, 2 battle swords. Li Feng, however, was a little suspicious. Although Li Feng was very familiar with Qin Feiyang, he knew very little about the situation in the Black Tortoise realm. But from Qin Feiyang's tone, he could tell that it should be a very terrifying place. Qin Feiyang calmed down, looked at the 2 great swords and said, "Now, you have 2 choices." "What choice?" The 2 great swords were suspicious and nervous. "First, submit to me. Second, destroy." Qin Feiyang said indifferently. When the 2 great swords heard this, they couldn't help but feel disheartened. In fact, they had already guessed that Qin Feiyang might force them to submit, but in their hearts, they couldn't help but feel a trace of luck. In the end, it turned out that they were thinking too much. "Not willing?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. "No, no." The 2 great swords hurriedly denied. "You don't have to deny it. I can understand your feelings. After all, you are sovereign divine weapons, the strongest divine weapons in the world. Submitting to others is a disgrace. However, you asked for it. I'll give you 3 breaths of time to consider. 3, 2, 1. Qin Feiyang began to count. The golden sword shouted, "Can't you count a bit slower?" Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear and said indifferently, "Time's up. Please make your decision." The 2 great swords were incomparably sullen. The fate of a dominator's divine weapon was actually being controlled by a human brat. "It seems that you have chosen destruction." A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. "No, no. We choose to submit." The golden sword hastily roared. "Are you really going to submit?" The silver sword was surprised. "Brother, don't worry. This is just a temporary measure. Think about it. What in this world can control the freedom of our sovereign divine weapon?" The golden sword secretly sneered. "I see." The silver sword suddenly understood. First, he would pretend to submit and wait for his body to recover before finding an opportunity to escape. The golden sword let out a deep sigh and said righteously, "Quickly drip your blood on it and claim it as your master. We won't resist." "Drip blood on it?" Qin Feiyang smiled. Did they really think he was a 3-year-old child? What? The 2 great swords were suspicious. "There's no need to do such a meaningless act. I need you to make a blood oath to be forever loyal to me, Qin Feiyang. If you have the slightest intention to betray me, your soul will be destroyed." Qin Feiyang said. "Blood oath again?" The 2 great swords were shocked. Previously, when this human faced the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear, he also made a blood oath. It seemed to be a bit different from ordinary oaths. Could it really come true? Impossible. Hurry up. The Grim Reaper's sword urged. Okay. The 2 great swords responded repeatedly and made a blood oath one after another according to Qin Feiyang's method. Qin Feiyang's face finally showed a trace of a smile. First, the white dragon sword, the black dragon mirror, and the golden dragon spear were moved by him and abandoned the darkness for the light. Now, these 2 great swords were forced to make a blood oath. In this way, he had obtained 5 sovereign divine weapons. He thought that this time, it might not bode well for him. But he didn't expect that the result would be a complete victory. Now, the ancient castle, the Grim Reaper's sword, the horsetail whisk, the blood dragon blade, plus the sovereign divine weapons of the demon palace and the sky palace, as well as the white dragon sword, these 5 sovereign divine weapons. Now, he had 11 sovereign divine weapons. Such a foundation had already surpassed the dragons at their peak. This was because even at their peak, the dragon clan only had 10 sovereign weapons. However, he couldn't be careless. After all, the human race was facing the 3 forbidden areas. It wasn't just the dragons. Besides, Long Chen had also entered the Sky Bell Divine Treasure this time. With Long Chen's ability and strength, he would probably obtain a lot of good fortune. There was one more thing. The Grim Reaper's sword, the 2 sovereign divine weapons of the Sky Palace and the Demon Palace, were only temporarily lent to him by Yun Zhongtian and the others. So, he had to continue working hard. Qin Feiyang suddenly looked at the 2 great swords and said with an incomparably serious expression, "Let me tell you, don't be too lucky, the blood oath will really come true. After all, it wasn't easy to subdue them. If they were killed by the heavenly tribulation, it would be too much of a pity." The 2 great swords didn't pay much attention to it at first, but seeing Qin Feiyang's serious attitude, they couldn't help but become nervous. Was he really not scaring them? "I'm really not scaring you. There was once a sovereign divine weapon that was killed on the spot by the heavenly tribulation because it violated the blood oath. If you don't believe me, you can try," Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. Hearing this, the 2 great swords really didn't dare to try. "All right. Seeing that you are sovereign divine weapons, I will waste a little more time and personally verify it for you." Qin Feiyang really didn't want to see the 2 great swords die because of a trace of luck in their hearts. He turned to Li Feng and said, "Go and find a human-shaped skeleton." "All right." Li Feng nodded, turned around, and used an auxiliary divine art to disappear at the end of the mountain range in front of him. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. It was really troublesome to verify it on the spot. If it weren't for the fact that the other party was a sovereign divine weapon, he wouldn't have bothered to do this. Taking a deep breath, Qin Feiyang looked at Lu Ding and bowed again, "Thank you, senior." "No problem." Lu Ding smiled. Qin Feiyang glanced at Bai Longjian, then looked at Lu Ding curiously and asked, "What happened back then?" "Back then? I accidentally encountered the Kirin clan, the Feng people, and the dragons. At that time, there were a total of 6 of them, and they all carried sovereign divine weapons with them. Bai Longjian was one of them. With 6 sovereign divine weapons, I was definitely not their match. But at the last moment, your ancestor, the Feather Emperor, appeared with a group of experts and saved me from their hands." Lu Ding explained. "I see." Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. "At that time, I thought that the Feather Emperor would make me submit like the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan. But I didn't expect that he would let me choose for myself. And even if I chose to leave in the end, he didn't make things difficult for me. So all these years, I have always remembered his kindness." Lu Ding smiled. "It's really fate." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "No. To be exact, this was karma. Back then, the Feather Emperor saved Lu Ding because of karma. Now, Lu Ding helped him because of karma. If it weren't for the kindness of the ancestor back then, how could today's situation be resolved? Karma was indeed everywhere." Lu Ding smiled and said, "Since this matter is over, I will take my leave first." "Huh?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned and hurriedly looked at Lu Ding. "Senior, are you not interested in the outside world at all?" Lu Ding was stunned. "I know that senior likes to be free and unrestrained. But look at the Sky Bell Divine Treasure, what is here? Are you willing to stay in this place in obscurity for the rest of your life? If senior trusts me, why don't you leave the Sky Bell Divine Treasure with me? I promise that I won't restrict senior's freedom. Everything is up to senior's wishes." Qin Feiyang lowered his head and bowed, his face full of sincerity. Lu Ding was silent for a while and chuckled, "Thank you for thinking so highly of me. Let's meet again if fate allows." After saying that, he disappeared at the end of the world without looking back. "What a pity." Qin Feiyang sighed. "Don't be so greedy. You're still not satisfied with us joining?" Bai Longjian snorted coldly. "I'm not greedy. I really feel that for a sovereign divine weapon like him who knows how to repay kindness, leaving him in the sky bell divine treasure is really burying his value. Qin Feiyang sighed. That's true. Bai Longjian muttered. Qin Feiyang let out a long breath, looked at Bai Longjian and the other two sovereign divine weapons, and said with a smile, "From now on, we're family. Please take care of us." Hypocrite. Bai Longjian despised him. How am I hypocritical? Qin Feiyang felt wronged. Had they ever seen a man as sincere as him? All right. There was still a generation gap between him and these sovereign divine weapons. After all, he was still young. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, looked at Bai Longjian and the other two sovereign divine weapons, and said with a smile, "Back to the topic, I'll have to trouble the three seniors to be a good person until the end." What do you mean? Bai Longjian, Black Dragon Mirror, and Golden Dragon Spear were suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, "The dragons don't know that you're already with me, so I need you to continue to hide among the dragons." You want the scene of the blood dragon blade to happen again? Black Dragon Mirror asked. N. Qin Feiyang nodded. Three sovereign divine weapons hiding among the dragons, the effect would definitely be more explosive than the blood dragon blade. This, Bai Longjian, Black Dragon Mirror, and Golden Dragon Spear were a little hesitant. Don't worry. Those who know about today's matter are all present. I, Castle, and the Sword of Thanatos will definitely not say anything. Green Cauldron obviously doesn't like the dragons either. Li Feng hates the dragons even more than I do, so he won't say anything. As for these two things, Qin Feiyang glanced at the two swords. Can you speak properly? What do you mean by things? The two swords expressed their protest. They were all sovereign divine weapons, but the difference in treatment was too big, right? He was filled with respect for the ancient castle, the sword of the Grim Reaper, and the white dragon sword. But they treated them with a cold face. How could they be like this? Chapter 3693. Qin Feiyang ignored them and looked at the three sovereign divine weapons with a smile. These two are controlled by the blood oath, so they won't dare to say anything. Even if you return to the dragons and face the Dragon King, you won't be in any danger. Of course. If the Dragon King notices anything or faces any danger, you don't need to ask me. Make your own decision. In short, the prerequisite for completing the mission is to ensure your own safety. Qin Feiyang added. Since you've already said so much, what else can we say? Fine. We're already on your pirate ship. The three sovereign divine weapons smiled helplessly. Cough cough. Am I on a pirate ship? Qin Feiyang was helpless. Guberg said, since we're going to continue hiding among the dragons, it's best that we part ways now. That's right. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at the three sovereign divine weapons. And when you see us in the future, you have to treat us as enemies like before. We don't need you to remind us. Take care of yourself. Don't die in the Sky Bell divine treasure before the dragons are destroyed. The three divine weapons of the sovereigns turned around and flew away at lightning speed. Qin Feiyang watched the three sovereign divine weapons leave with a faint smile on his face. You did well this time. You didn't force them to surrender but chose to persuade them. If you force sovereign divine weapons like them, you might not get what you want. Guberg smiled approvingly. I just thought of it on the spot. After all, sovereign divine weapons have feelings too. As long as you show them your sincerity, I believe they will see it. Qin Feiyang smiled. Keep up the good work. With that, Guberg returned to Qin Feiyang's Qi with the Sword of Thanatos. Now, only Qin Feiyang and the two sovereign divine weapons were left. Ever since he left, the two sovereign divine weapons had been feeling uneasy. Please don't be true. Otherwise, I'll have to work like a horse for this human brat. As a Dominator divine weapon, of course it would want to save face. Qin Feiyang cut his finger and 2 drops of golden-purple dragon blood fell on the 2 sovereign divine weapons. Boom! The 2 sovereign divine weapons didn't resist. Master recognition was successful. Information about the 2 sovereign divine weapons appeared in Qin Feiyang's mind. Gold Sun God, Silver Moon. The 2 great divine swords were both born from the Heaven Bell divine treasure. Qin Feiyang asked, "How much do you guys know about the Heaven Bell divine treasure?" "Why? Beg us, we'll tell you." Gold's gold divine weapons. Although he had made a blood oath, the blood oath was only limited to never betraying him. It did not say that he had to answer his questions. Feiyang's sovereign divine weapons. Let me tell you, the Sky Bell divine treasure isn't as simple as you think. Find a place fine to hide. Dragon Silver Moon God's sword was also unruly. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. It seemed that when he forced the sovereign divine weapons to make a blood oath in the future, he would have to add another one. They had to be honest and answer all questions. Otherwise, with their unruly characters, it would be hard to control them. Bang! At this moment, in the distance, a rumbling sound could be heard. Battle fluctuation. Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked up. The rumbling sound wasn't very loud. Moreover, the battle fluctuation was also very weak. It was impossible to distinguish the aura of the battle. Obviously, the location of the battle was very far away from him. And this direction seemed to be the direction Li Feng went. It seemed that Li Feng had already found the skeleton and was suppressing it. After all, there was a battle between sovereign divine weapons here. The nearby skeletons must have fled far away. With Li Feng's current strength, suppressing the skeletons shouldn't be a problem. Are you sure you want to continue being so arrogant? Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze and glanced at the 2 sovereign divine weapons with ill intentions. We are so arrogant. What can you do to us? The 2 sovereign divine weapons sneered. Is that so? Don't forget your current situation. Your main body hasn't recovered yet. I also believe that the resentment in the heart of the ancient castle and the sword of Thanatos shouldn't have dissipated yet. Qin Feiyang laughed. The 2 sovereign divine weapons froze. Golden Sun divine sword hurriedly said as if to please, don't. It's just a joke. What's there to be serious about? Actually, we're not arrogant at all. We're very low-key and humble. If you don't believe me, you can ask around. Our character is also very good. Silver Moon divine sword also smiled flatteringly. The veins on Qin Feiyang's forehead suddenly jumped. Low-key and humble. Had a good character. Could they be more shameless? After all, they were sovereign divine weapons. Didn't they feel that they were going against their conscience? He could see that these 2 were simply unreliable bastards. It was also his fault for being blind. From the cooperation at the beginning to the pursuit later, he should have already seen the character of these 2 bastards. Keeping them by his side was simply keeping 2 troublemakers. But they were sovereign divine weapons. He couldn't bear to let them go. What a dilemma. He dared to bet. When he met up with the white-eyed wolf, these 2 sovereign divine weapons would definitely collude with the white-eyed wolf immediately. Because they were all the same. Then tell me. Where's the exit of the Sky Bell divine treasure? How many sovereign divine weapons are there around here? Is there any inheritance of the ultimate profound meaning of the strongest law? Qin Feiyang asked helplessly. Since they were leaving the Sky Bell divine treasure, there must be an exit. The little rabbit and the Feather Emperor didn't tell him the location of the exit, so he could only find it himself. You have so many questions. How do you want us to answer? Golden Sun divine sword muttered. Nonsense. Of course you have to answer them one by one. Do you still need me to teach you this? Qin Feiyang roared. He was really going crazy. It was actually so difficult to even speak. No need, Golden Sun Divine Sword smiled embarrassedly. Boom. But at this moment, the battle fluctuations in the distance suddenly became several times stronger. Qin Feiyang once again raised his head to look, and a trace of bewilderment crept up between his brows. This was the aura of the ultimate profound meaning, and there was more than one ultimate profound meaning. Moreover, in addition to the aura of the ultimate profound meaning, there seemed to be another aura. It seemed to be super forbidden technique. Not good. Qin Feiyang's expression changed, and he shouted, "Quickly follow me." Immediately, he stepped on space-time steps and rushed towards the battlefield. Are you not going to listen to us answer your questions? Golden Sun Divine Sword and Silver Hair Divine Sword chased after him and asked. I'm not in the mood to mess around with you guys right now. It's best if you know what's good for you. Qin Feiyang's face was gloomy. Asking Li Feng to find a skeleton, he actually encountered a supreme expert with a super forbidden technique. This Sky Bell Divine Treasure was indeed full of danger. However, the skeleton shouldn't have a super forbidden technique, right? Then it must be someone from the Sky Cloud realm. Dragons? Foam people? Or the Qilin clan? In the distance. In the sky above a shattered mountain range. Two figures were constantly fighting in the void. One of them was Li Feng. At this moment, one could only see that his entire body was dripping with blood, and he was in an extremely sorry state. The other person was a woman. She looked to be in her 20s. She was wearing a tight white outfit that accentuated her petite and exquisite figure. Her snow-white hair was tied up high, making her look valiant and formidable. Bing Running, don't go too far. Li Feng roared. That's right. This woman was Bing Running. Compared to before, her current strength was much stronger. Not only had she stepped into the great perfection sovereign realm, she had even grasped a supreme profound meaning. Don't blame me. You can only blame yourself for being acquainted with Qin Feiyang. Bing Running sneered. The frost that filled the sky instantly froze, freezing the world. Ice Law's ultimate profound meaning. Li Feng activated the ultimate profound meaning of the Slaughter Law, and a sky full of blood-colored lightning poured down, crazily colliding with the frost. Still struggling. Bing Running shook her head and sneered. But suddenly, she raised her head to look at the void in front of her and saw a white-clothed youth streaking across the sky like lightning. It was Qin Feiyang. Bing Running. Qin Feiyang also saw Bing Running, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. You're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Do you know why I haven't killed this person yet? Because I've been waiting for you. Waiting for you to come and see him die under my sword with your own eyes. Ice Phoenix Sword, kill. As Bing Running sneered, a sword shadow swept out from her body. It was the sovereign divine weapon, Ice Phoenix Sword. As soon as the Ice Dragon Sword appeared, it erupted with a terrifying sword chi that turned into a torrent, shattering the void and the earth as it charged toward Li Feng. You can stay here and enjoy the pain of losing your companion. Bing Running sneered. Clang. As soon as Bing Running's voice fell, the Ice Phoenix Sword immediately turned around and left with Bing Running without looking back. The torrent formed by the sword chi did not stop at all and instantly drowned Li Feng. Li Feng. Qin Feiyang roared. At this time, even the ancient castle and the death god's sword were too late to rescue him. They could only watch as Li Feng was shattered by the sword chi. I'll go. She even dares to provoke this human. This woman is not simple. Ruthless enough. The Gold Sun Divine Sword and the Silver Moon Divine Sword muttered. When Qin Feiyang flew to the sky above the battlefield, the death god's sword appeared and quickly shattered the sword chi. He could no longer find Li Feng. After all, the Ice Phoenix sword was a sovereign divine weapon. How could Li Feng's body of flesh and blood withstand the attack of a sovereign divine weapon? Not even his bones were left behind. Bing Runing, I won't let you go. Qin Feiyang clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with intense killing intent. With a fierce roar, he prepared to chase after Bing Runing. Qin Dage, but suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind. Li Feng. Qin Feiyang was startled, he quickly turned his head and saw a youth in blood red flying towards him. What is this? He actually didn't die. Then who was the one who died under the sword Qi? Not only Qin Feiyang, the Death God sword, the Gold Sun Divine sword, and the Silver Moon Divine sword were all dumbfounded on the spot. They had seen Li Feng die here with their own eyes. Li Feng flew over and looked at the battlefield below, his face full of fear. What's going on? Qin Feiyang came back to his senses and asked anxiously. Chapter 3694. Luckily, I'm smart. Li Feng grinned and explained, earlier, I encountered a human-shaped skeleton here and was about to take it down when Bing Runing suddenly appeared. I know that Bing Runing is the daughter of Bing Feng people, so she must have a sovereign divine weapon on her. So, when I saw her appear, I immediately looked for an opportunity to activate the puppet true body. In other words, she only killed one of my true body puppets, Yi Zichen said. Li Feng explained. Puppet true bodies? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Li Feng nodded. As he waved his hand, blood gushed out. Then, the blood quickly condensed into a blood-red clothed youth under Qin Feiyang's shocked gaze. This blood-red clothed youth looked exactly like Li Feng. This is my puppet true body, Yi Fuqian said. The puppet true body was condensed from my own blood. Not only does it have my consciousness, but it also has all of my means. It's equivalent to another me. Li Feng smiled. So that's how it is. Qin Feiyang came to a sudden realization, and finally heaved a sigh of relief. Qin Dage, thank you. Li Feng said. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked suspiciously, what are you thanking me for? Thank you for still being so concerned about me. Li Feng chuckled. He had seen Qin Feiyang's unusually angry expression with his own eyes. It was obvious. His importance in Qin Dage's heart had never changed. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but roll his eyes when he heard this. He then looked at the puppet true body and asked curiously, it seems to be similar to the 3,000 incarnations. More or less. But the numbers are far inferior. I can only summon 3 puppet true bodies at most. It's definitely not comparable to the 3,000 incarnations. Li Feng scratched his head and laughed dryly. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, with 3 puppet true bodies and your original body, you're already strong enough to dominate the same realm. Dominate the same realm? Li Feng smiled bitterly. Right now, he wasn't at the major success sovereign realm, nor was he at the perfection sovereign realm. He was a perfection sovereign realm expert. There were simply too many things contained within the perfect ruler realm. There were ordinary laws and supreme laws. There were also the supreme profundities of ordinary laws and supreme profundities of supreme laws. There were also the ultimate profundities of ordinary laws, as well as the ultimate profundities of supreme laws. The difference between the strong and the weak was not small. Therefore, only existences like the Dragon King and the Feather Emperor would dare to proclaim themselves as the strongest in this realm. However, he was very happy to be praised by Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang suddenly asked, will the destruction of the true body of this puppet affect you in any way? It doesn't matter. After all, it's condensed from blood. It's just losing some blood. Li Feng shook his head. Not bad. Qin Feiyang smiled and turned to look in the direction Bing Runing had left. Pain. Sorry to disappoint you. This woman must be eliminated as soon as possible. Otherwise, there would be endless trouble in the future. Li Feng also raised his head and looked in that direction. His eyes flickered with wisps of bloody light as he said, "Qin Dage, this Bing running strength is much stronger than when she fought with Princess Wufeng on White Crane Island. You can't be careless. You know about what happened on White Crane Island." Qin Feiyang was surprised. "And the Sky Palace Lord told me." Li Feng nodded. "Then, when you fought with Bing running before, what do you think of her current strength?" Qin Feiyang asked. "First of all, her cultivation has reached the perfect ruler realm. Secondly, she has comprehended the supreme profundities of the law of ice. The most important thing is that she carries a sovereign divine weapon with her." Li Feng seemed a little unconvinced. Because if Bing Running didn't have a sovereign divine weapon, he wouldn't be afraid at all. "That's all?" Qin Feiyang said. "Yes." Li Feng was stunned and nodded with a bitter smile. "That's all." These words were too hurtful. However, this man did have the qualifications to say such words. "Compared to these, I want to know more. Why is she here? And when did you appear here?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. "You mean, she might have seen us subduing White Dragon's sword and the other two sovereign divine weapons?" Li Feng was surprised. "And all these years, you have been in the northern continent. Later, you hid in the Sky Palace. Even when we found you, you hid in the Death Glacier. Therefore, no one knows about our relationship. But how did she know? Why did she wait for me here? It's not hard to imagine that she knew I was nearby." Qin Feiyang said. "Maybe she sensed the fluctuations of the battle between the ancient castle and the Grim Reaper's sword, so she knew you were here?" Li Feng said. "No. I reckon that after persuading White Dragon's sword and the others, Bing Running discovered us and hid in the dark to watch us." Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. Li Feng asked suspiciously, "Why do you say that it was after we persuaded White Dragon's sword and the others?" "It's simple. If Bing Running had appeared before we persuaded White Dragon's sword and the others, she would not have let go of this good opportunity and joined forces with them to kill me." Qin Feiyang smiled. "That's true." Li Feng nodded. Based on Bing Running's hatred for Qin Feiyang, seeing Qin Feiyang being chased by several sovereign divine weapons, she would not hesitate to attack. This woman must be killed. Otherwise, White Dragon's sword and the others will not be able to continue hiding among the dragons. Moreover, she deserves to die. Qin Feiyang's eyes were filled with killing intent. He looked at the Grim Reaper's sword and asked, "Can we still chase after her?" The Grim Reaper's sword said, "Ice Phoenix Sword's aura will remain. We can chase after her." "Okay. Chase after her," Qin Feiyang said. Since she came to provoke him, she could not blame him for being ruthless. Clang! The sword of the Grim Reaper immediately took Qin Feiyang and the two battle swords and streaked across the sky like a bolt of lightning in the direction Bing Running had left. Li Feng looked at the two battle swords for a moment, then suddenly moved closer to Qin Feiyang's ear and whispered, "Qin Dage, with them, won't it be easy to track Bing Running?" Qin Feiyang was slightly surprised. He turned to look at the two battle swords and quickly understood what Li Feng meant. The nest of the two sovereign divine weapons, which was the valley, was only a day's journey from here. Therefore, they must be very familiar with everything in this area. This included the human-shaped skeletons and sovereign divine weapons in this area. As long as they helped, there would be a way to stop Bing Running. "Why are you looking at us?" Seeing Qin Feiyang's gaze, the two battle swords could not help but panic. Qin Feiyang asked, "You should have a way to stop Bing Running, right? So you have something to ask of us?" "Of course. We are very familiar with this area. Stopping her will be child's play." The two divine swords smiled proudly. "Okay. Help me stop her." Qin Feiyang said. Why should I? Also, is this the attitude you use to ask for help? The two divine swords snorted. Qin Feiyang's face was dark. He looked at the sword of the Grim Reaper and said, help me find a human-shaped skeleton along the way. I will let them see the power of the blood oath. Okay. The sword of the Grim Reaper responded. Its divine sense rolled out and covered all directions. Whoosh! The next moment, the sword of the Grim Reaper turned in the air and descended on a mountain like lightning. There was an ancient town below. There was a human-shaped skeleton hidden in the ancient town. At this moment, it sensed the aura of the sword of the Grim Reaper and was trembling. As a sovereign divine weapon, there was no doubt about the strength of the sword of the Grim Reaper. It directly crushed the ancient town and controlled the human-shaped skeleton. Then, under Qin Feiyang's coercion, the human-shaped skeleton quickly made a blood oath. Moreover, the oath this time was very direct and violent. As long as the human-shaped skeleton had a trace of resentment towards Qin Feiyang, it would be killed by the heavenly tribulation. After the blood oath was completed, Qin Feiyang let the sword of the Grim Reaper release the human-shaped skeleton. After the human-shaped skeleton obtained its freedom, without knowing that the blood oath would come true, it immediately had a trace of killing intent towards Qin Feiyang. Just as this killing intent appeared, the blood clouds in the sky churned, and a heavenly tribulation descended from the sky. The human-shaped skeleton was instantly shattered in the air, and its body and soul were destroyed. During the entire process, the sword of the Grim Reaper did not stop at all. It continued to chase after the remaining aura of the Ice Phoenix sword. At the side, Qin Feiyang looked at the heavenly tribulation that had killed the human-shaped skeleton in the air behind him and sneered, "Do you believe me now?" At this moment, the two divine swords were already trembling. It would actually come true. Li Feng said in a deep voice, "So from now on, you'd better be honest." "So what if it comes true? We are Dominator divine weapons, how can an undead compare to us? I really don't believe that there is a heavenly tribulation in this world that can kill our Dominator divine weapons." The Gold Sun divine sword was still a little unwilling. "Don't test my patience. I have destroyed more than one Dominator divine weapon in my hands." Qin Feiyang stared at the two divine swords, his eyes flashing with a fierce light. Hearing this, the two divine swords' hearts trembled again. He had actually destroyed a Dominator divine weapon before. There was no denying it. This human brat did have the ability to do so. After all, he carried two Dominator divine weapons with him. But how could he bear to do so? When other humans saw a Dominator divine weapon, they couldn't wait to curry favor with it. It seemed that he was a ruthless person. Sigh. You guys should be more tactful. Don't look at how amiable he has always been and how he seems to be playing around with you. If you really anger him, the consequences are not something you can imagine. The sword of the Grim Reaper secretly transmitted its voice. Hearing this, the two divine swords pondered for a moment and said, "All right, we'll help you." The sword of the Grim Reaper couldn't help but secretly heave a sigh of relief. It was really worried that these two guys were too arrogant and in the end, completely angered Qin Feiyang and directly destroyed them. Frankly speaking, destroying two Dominator divine weapons in one go, the sword of the Grim Reaper couldn't help but feel a heartache. At the same time, the fierce light in Qin Feiyang's eyes finally dissipated and was replaced by a trace of a smile. In this area, besides the old devil and us, there are two other Dominator divine weapons. We can inform them to help intercept them. And one Dominator divine weapon is right in front of us. If Bing Runing doesn't know in advance, she will definitely pass by there. The Gold Sun divine sword said. Chapter 3695. There are two more sovereign weapons. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng looked at each other, and a bright light flickered in their eyes. "What's wrong? You want to take them away again?" The Golden Sun Godly Sword laughed. Can't I? Li Feng asked. Sure. I can even help you. The Golden Sun Godly Sword laughed. You're that kind. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng were surprised. This was not the Golden Sun Godly Sword style. We're brothers. Of course, we should share happiness and difficulties. The Golden Sun Godly Sword laughed. Ah. Li Feng looked at the Golden Sun Godly Sword and shook his head. You've changed too quickly. You were unhappy with us before, and now you're calling us brothers? Hearing this, the Golden Sun Godly Sword was stunned and said, Qin Feiyang, there's something wrong with your little brother's brain. What's wrong with my brain? Li Feng glared at the Golden Sun Godly Sword. There's indeed something wrong with his brain. The Silver Moon Godly Sword said disdainfully. My brain is bad. Li Feng was stunned. He looked at the two swords suspiciously and asked, What do you mean? Sorry. We don't like to talk to retards. The two divine swords chuckled. Li Feng was furious and shouted, You're the retards. Can't you talk nicely? Who are you looking down on? Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. He looked at Li Feng and said, They're so-called brothers, they're so-called sharing blessings and suffering together, doesn't refer to us. Huh? Li Feng looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. If they were not referring to them, who were they referring to? They're referring to the two sovereign weapons. These two bastards are uncomfortable in our hands, so they want to drag the other two sovereign weapons down with them. Only then will they feel better. Qin Feiyang explained. I see. Li Feng suddenly understood. He looked at the two swords in disdain and said, You two are really bad. Only a blind sovereign weapon would be friends with you. Speak properly. Although we are afraid of Qin Feiyang, it doesn't mean that we are afraid of you. Do you believe that we will kill you? The two divine swords instantly turned hostile and said fiercely. If you dare to do it, why are you afraid of others talking about it? Li Feng's face was filled with disdain. Qin Dage was right. They were two things, and two wicked things at that. Other people would plead for their friends and brothers and help them out of trouble. However, these two things were great. They were being controlled and felt unbalanced. They even wanted their brothers around them to be controlled by others. He even offered to help. He couldn't help but sympathize with the two sovereigns' divine weapons. Qin Feiyang looked at the two divine swords and asked, back to the main topic, how do we contact the two sovereign divine weapons? You can't contact him, but we can. Our Dominator weapons don't need a transmission stone to communicate with each other. Because we communicate through telepathy. Two divine sword Daos. Is that so? Qin Feiyang looked at the sword of Thanatos. Yes. Sovereign divine weapons can establish a telepathic contract with each other. It has the same meaning as the transmission stone. After establishing a telepathic contract, as long as we are in the same space, no matter how far away we are, we can contact each other, unless there is a restriction. The sword of Thanatos explained. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, so the Sky Bell divine treasure doesn't have such a restriction. Then, can we also communicate through the divine sound transmission stone? Stop dreaming. You small fries can't compare to our sovereign divine weapons. The sovereign divine weapon is already above the rules. Unless there are rules that specifically target us, ordinary rules are useless against us, said Yi Futian. Jin Yang divine sword looked down on them. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. He was looked down on again. Li Feng took out the transmission stone and tried to send a message to the blood ancestor, but it was like a stone sinking into the sea. There was no response. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. He looked at the two divine swords and said, then quickly contact them and ask for help. All right. Jin Yang divine sword replied. At the same time. In front. In the sky above a mountain range. Two streaks of light streaked across the sky like lightning. It was the Ice Phoenix sword and Bing running. This is the result of offending me. Just you wait, the more painful things are yet to come. Bing running whispered with a sneer on her face. Ever since she was defeated by Princess Wufeng in front of everyone on White Crane Island, a strong resentment had risen in her heart. Especially after that, his physical body was crushed. If not for the protection of the Ice Phoenix sword, the Profound Ice Divine Hammer, and the Profound Ice Divine Bow, she would have probably died on White Crane Island. When she returned to the Phoenix Nest, she spent every moment thinking about revenge and wiping away her previous humiliation. Now, she finally got the chance to kill the people around Qin Feiyang. She felt a lot better in her heart. Where are we going next? Ice Phoenix Sword asked. Of course we're going to find the Golden-Winged Wolf King and Madman Mo, as well as those ants in the Heavenly Cloud Sea and the Land of Buried Gods. This time, I'm going to kill them all. Bing Running's face was quite ferocious. It's not that easy to be afraid. After all, these people either have a sovereign divine weapon or have mastered the ultimate profound. Ice Phoenix Sword said. So what if it's the ultimate profound? In this world, only the ultimate profound of the strongest law can truly compete with sovereign divine weapons like you. So even if you meet them, you'll still kill them. Bing Running sneered. Ice Phoenix Sword pondered for a while and sighed. This is a rare opportunity to enter the Sky Bell Divine Treasure. I personally feel that you shouldn't just do it for the hatred in your heart. It's best to find the epitome of the law or the inheritance of the ultimate profound. I know, I don't need you to remind me. In short, you have to kill people and find the epitome of the law. Bing Running snorted coldly. There was no respect for Ice Phoenix Sword in her tone, as if she was reprimanding a follower. Up to you. Ice Phoenix Sword didn't say anything more. She had tried to persuade her, whether she listened or not was her own business. Time flew. Half a day passed. A canyon came into sight. The canyon was tens of thousands of miles long, with layers upon layers of mountains, like a big maze. In the canyon, other than the aura of the skeletons, no other powerful aura could be sensed. So, Ice Phoenix Sword took Bing Running and flew straight into the canyon. It was naturally impossible for the skeletons to come and offend the sovereign divine weapon, so they smoothly reached the center of the canyon. Why do I have an ominous premonition? Suddenly, Ice Phoenix Sword muttered. Bing Running was slightly taken aback as she scanned the canyon below and frowned. There's no danger at all, you must be hallucinating. Maybe. However, before her voice fell, accompanied by a loud clang, a terrifying aura erupted like a volcano. The originally calm canyon was razed to the ground. Dust and smoke billowed. And at the next moment, a palm-sized ancient pagoda rushed out from the canyon below, carrying a monstrous might as it blasted toward Ice Phoenix Sword. Sovereign divine weapon. Bing Running's face suddenly changed. Clang! Ice Phoenix Sword also quivered as sword chi surged out and slashed toward the ancient pagoda. The two divine weapons collided with a loud bang. In this place, the sky suddenly fell and the earth cracked, as if it was the end of the world. Countless skeletons of beasts were annihilated. Why did you sneak attack us? Ice Phoenix Sword shouted angrily. I was entrusted by someone to intercept you. The ancient pagoda responded coldly and once again charged toward Ice Phoenix Sword. Entrusted by someone? Ice Phoenix Sword and Bing Running were surprised. Who had such great face to be able to persuade the sovereign divine weapon to help intercept them? We have to get rid of it quickly. Bing Running said in a deep voice. Ice Phoenix Sword's firepower was fully unleashed, and the terrifying sword chi turned into a vast ocean, overwhelming the ancient pagoda. However, the ancient pagoda was also a sovereign divine weapon. Would it be so easy to break through its blockade? The two divine weapons collided crazily, destroying heaven and earth. Although their strength was equal, the ancient pagoda didn't seem to want to go all out and let Ice Phoenix Sword find an opportunity to send it flying. Swish! Immediately after, the Ice Phoenix Sword didn't continue to fight and flew away with Bing running without looking back. Boom! However, at this moment, an astonishing divine might erupted in front of them. A huge golden bell emerged from the ground, and the loud sound of the bell shook the heavens and earth. What? There's another sovereign divine weapon. Bing Running's face couldn't help but turn pale. Two sovereign divine weapons intercepting. Who was it? She had thought of Qin Feiyang, but she immediately rejected it. Because Qin Feiyang was the same as her, an invader from the sky cloud boundary. The sovereign divine weapons here wouldn't help an outsider. We don't want to fight, so it's fine as long as you stay here. The golden bell said, its voice as deafening as thunder. Who is it? Bing Running roared. You'll know later. The ancient pagoda said coldly and stood behind Bing Running and Ice Phoenix Sword. Facing the two sovereign divine weapons one after the other, not to mention Bing Running, even Ice Phoenix Sword couldn't help but start to panic. If the Profound Ice Divine Hammer and Profound Ice Divine Bow were also with me, how could I allow you to be so presumptuous? Bing Running's face was as calm as water as she shouted, Ice Phoenix Sword, no matter what price we have to pay, we must break through. To be able to persuade two sovereign divine weapons to intercept them, this meant that this person must be very terrifying. If they were really stopped here, they would definitely be doomed. Ice Phoenix Sword attacked without holding back, its sword chi drowning the sky like a flood. However, the two sovereign divine weapons were still able to easily dissolve its attack, so it couldn't break through. How can you be so useless? Bing Running roared angrily. Hearing this, Ice Phoenix Sword couldn't help but feel angry. How dare you say I'm useless? Do you understand the current situation? You're not facing two heaven-defying divine weapons, but two sovereign divine weapons. Moreover, I have to divert some of my attention to protect you. It wasn't easy for it to reach this step. What more do you want? Time passed breath by breath. Facing the predicament of not being able to break through, Ice Phoenix Sword and Bing Running were extremely anxious. Boom! Suddenly, behind them, another terrifying divine aura rolled over. This is, Bing Running's eyelids twitched. The Sword of the Grim Reaper. It wasn't the first time she had fought with the Sword of the Grim Reaper, so she could instantly distinguish the aura of the Sword of the Grim Reaper. Qin Feiyang and the others had actually caught up. Chapter 3696. Quick, quick! Bing Running urged. Was there a need for her to urge them? As soon as the aura of the Sword of Thanatos appeared, the Ice Phoenix Sword was already desperately trying to break through. In the current Sky Cloud realm, apart from the Dragon King and the other giants, Qin Feiyang was naturally the most terrifying. Once he seized the opportunity, even the sovereign divine weapon would not be able to escape. But the ancient pagoda and the golden bell refused to give way. The Ice Phoenix Sword said in a deep voice, "Please let us go. If there is a chance today, we will definitely repay you. Yes, yes, yes. We are from the Foam people. Give us face and let us leave." Bing Running also pleaded repeatedly. There was no other way. Unable to force their way out, they could only lower their posture. Foam people. Do the Foam people have a lot of face? However, the words of the two sovereign divine weapons were full of disdain. You, Bing Running was instantly enraged. She said gloomily, "What did the one who sent you to intercept our people give you? I can give you double." Sorry. No need. The two sovereign divine weapons were incomparably cold. Bastard. You are courting your own destruction. When the experts of the Foam people gather, I will immediately destroy you." Bing Running roared. "Not to mention the experts of the Feng people, even if your Feng people's Feng Ho came in person, I may not put her in my eyes." The Golden Bell sneered. Bing Running's heart suddenly sank to the bottom. It seemed that no matter whether it was coercion or temptation, it was useless. "We are really fated. We meet again so soon." At this time, the sword of Thanatos also brought Qin Feiyang and the two sovereign divine swords to the sky above the canyon. Looking at the Ice Phoenix sword and Bing Running, a smile appeared on Qin Feiyang's face. "Not dead." Bing Running was about to speak, but when she saw Li Feng next to her, her face was full of disbelief. "Did I disappoint you?" Li Feng snickered. "Impossible." Bing Running shook her head. How could he be unharmed in the face of the sovereign divine weapon? Could it be that this person also had a sovereign divine weapon? But that's not right. If this person really did have a sovereign divine weapon, then he would have used all his strength to restrain her and the Ice Phoenix sword, waiting for Qin Feiyang to come to their aid. Nothing is impossible in this world. Li Feng smiled coldly. He turned to Qin Feiyang and pleaded, "Qin Dage, give me a chance. Let me kill her." Qin Feiyang frowned. "Don't worry. I'll end this quickly," Li Feng said. He knew Qin Feiyang's concerns. Things might change if he delayed. "All right." Looking at the confident Li Feng, Qin Feiyang finally nodded and agreed. He turned to the two divine swords and said with a smile, "Tell your friend to stop." "Old antique, old death knell, thanks." The Golden Sun divine sword soared into the air and said with a smile, "Just this once." The ancient pagoda and the golden bell responded coldly and immediately retreated to the side. "It's really you guys who ordered them to intercept us here," Bing Running said angrily. "That's right." The Golden Sun divine sword smiled proudly and said with contempt, "Why don't you go and find out who's the boss in this area? How dare you be so presumptuous here? Aren't you courting death? You're the boss here." When the Golden Bell and the ancient pagoda heard this, they seemed a little dissatisfied. Don't be angry. We're all the bosses." The Golden Sun divine sword laughed. "Humph." The two Dominator divine weapons snorted and fell silent. Looking at Bing Running again, her face was gloomy to the extreme. Why was this Qin Feiyang able to get help from others no matter where he went? In terms of identity, in terms of status, where was she inferior? Inside. Extreme jealousy and anger. One had to know. And this was with the help of the Dominator divine weapon. Even she didn't have this honor. What qualifications did a mere human have? Qin Feiyang looked at Bing Running and said indifferently, "Don't say that I didn't give you a chance. You fight with Li Feng. If you win, I'll let you and the Ice Phoenix sword leave." "Really?" Bing Running was slightly stunned and asked anxiously. "I'm a man of my word." Qin Feiyang nodded. "All right." Bing Running nodded without hesitation. She looked at Li Feng and sneered, "Let me see what kind of ability you have to challenge me, Princess Bing Feng. We admit that you're the princess. We don't admit that you're just a pheasant." Li Feng's face was full of disdain. "You're courting death." Bing Running was furious. He actually dared to humiliate her. He really didn't know what death was. Boom! The law of ice rolled out, and the Supreme Profound was instantly activated. Suddenly, a shocking frost appeared between heaven and earth. The void and earth here began to freeze. The cold current was bone-chilling. "Pheasant?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked at Bing Running and smiled, "These two words are quite suitable for you." Bing Running suddenly looked at Qin Feiyang, her eyes flashing with shocking killing intent. Boom! Li Feng took a step forward at this time. The law of slaughter surged out. The frost and the bone-chilling wind turned the heaven and earth into a sea of blood. Blood-red lightning collided with the frost like a python. Qin Feiyang, the sword of the Grim Reaper, and the two divine swords all took a few steps back. To tell the truth, Qin Feiyang also wanted to see how strong Li Feng was. The two supreme profound were constantly fighting and clashing back and forth. A terrifying aura flooded all directions. How dare an ant like you challenge this princess? You're overestimating yourself. Bing Running stood in the frost, her body surging with cold current. She was like an ice empress, looking down at Li Feng with contempt as if she was looking at a pitiful reptile. Boom! The other 4 laws and the Devour Law were activated. Although these 5 laws hadn't reached the level of the Supreme Profound, the power of the 5th Profound couldn't be underestimated. The Devour Law, is this the strength of the Princess of the Ice Phoenix clan? You've disappointed me. With your strength, not to mention Qin Dage, even I can crush you. Li Feng's face was full of sarcasm. As soon as he finished speaking, the Spacetime Law, the Devour Law, the Death Law. The 5th Profound of the 3 Supreme Laws were all activated. What? Bing Running's eyes suddenly glazed over. When she fought with Li Feng previously, Li Feng didn't activate these 3 Supreme Laws, so she thought that Li Feng's strongest law was the Slaughter Law. She didn't expect him to master 3 Supreme Laws. Why was he another monster? Boom! The 3 Supreme Laws attacked. Even if Bing Running activated all the laws, the Supreme Law was still the Devour Law. Only the Devour Law could compete with the 3 Supreme Laws. The other 4 Supreme Laws didn't have the ability to fight against the Supreme Laws. Accompanied by a deafening sound, the 5th Profound of the other 4 Supreme Laws collapsed and disintegrated on the spot. Then, Li Feng's 3 Supreme Laws collided with Bing Running's Devour Law. In the face of the 5th Profound of the 3 Supreme Laws, just the Devouring Law alone was able to shatter without any suspense. Bing Running's delicate body trembled, her face turned pale, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. You're just SOSO without a sovereign divine weapon. Li Feng smiled contemptuously. Bing Running wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, then lowered her head to look at the phoenix blood on her hand. Her originally beautiful face looked extremely ferocious. All of a sudden, she raised her head and stared at Li Feng, a blood-red light flashing in her eyes. Congratulations, you've completely angered me. Pay the price. Bing Running smiled ferociously. Boom! Waves of ice flames and flames broke out of her body at the same time. The next moment, a boundary of ice and fire appeared. Ice and fire were originally incompatible, but at this moment, they didn't repel each other at all. This is, Divine Phoenix Domain. Qin Feiyang frowned. The Divine Phoenix Domain was the super forbidden technique of the Foam people. Chirp! Accompanied by 2 sharp phoenix cries, an ice phoenix and a fire phoenix rushed out of the boundary, exuding a destructive aura. It's indeed a super forbidden technique. Qin Feiyang murmured. Divine Dragon Domain, Divine Phoenix Domain, Qilin Domain, each clan had their own inherited forbidden techniques. But weren't these super forbidden techniques only qualified to be inherited by the clan leaders of each generation? Bing Running didn't seem to be qualified. Go to hell. Bing Running laughed and waved her arms, and the 2 divine phoenixes immediately rushed toward Li Feng with a destructive aura. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but look at Li Feng. Everyone knew the power of a super forbidden technique, and Li Feng's puppet true body shouldn't be able to block it. But suddenly, his pupils shrank slightly. Because he felt that there seemed to be a terrifying aura quietly awakening in Li Feng's body. Boom! Just as the 2 divine phoenixes were about to attack, a sea of blood suddenly appeared around Li Feng. Countless corpses floated in the sea of blood, as if a purgatory had appeared. It made one's hair stand on end. I'm really surprised. A single super forbidden technique actually gave you so much confidence. Li Feng cackled like a devil, causing one's scalp to go numb. Boom! The next moment, a huge skull appeared in a sea of blood, like a towering mountain. It was blood-red and filled with a murderous aura. Around the skull, there seemed to be countless ferocious ghosts screaming and howling. Super forbidden technique. Corpse Mountain Blood Sea. Following Li Feng's sinister laugh, the blood-red skull immediately charged out of the blood sea and blasted towards the two ice phoenixes and fire phoenixes that were swooping down. Accompanied by a loud bang, the world lost its color and the place instantly turned into nothingness. Super forbidden technique. Bing Running looked at Li Feng in a daze. At this moment, she seemed to see a ghost standing in the middle of the sea of blood. She couldn't help but feel an uncontrollable fear in her heart. Princess Bing Feng, that's it. Li Feng chuckled. Hearing this, Bing Running felt a great shame in her heart. She roared, "I'm going to kill you, crush you, and never let you be reincarnated." A strange aura surged out of her body like an invisible tide, enveloping Li Feng. Within this aura, there was a will of despair. This is, Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled slightly. He saw that Bing Running's eyes had turned gray, like a pair of emotionless eyes. When he saw this pair of eyes, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel a trace of despair. That's right. This was one of the 10 strongest fighting souls, the Eyes of Despair. It was exactly the same as the demon ancestor's Eyes of Despair. Chapter 3697. Unexpectedly. He really did not expect this. The other half of the Eye of Despair was actually in Bing Running. Qin Feiyang was naturally familiar with the Eye of Despair. When he fought with the demon ancestor, he had fallen into the Eye of Despair. That kind of endless despair that came from the depths of the soul could not be erased. It could be said that no one could withstand it. At that time. If not for the strong obsession in his heart, even he would not be able to walk out of the despair. But it was different now. After stepping into the sovereign realm, one's essence, energy, and spirit had been refined and one's mind was tough. He was also immune to such negative emotions. In short, these fighting souls were the same as the eye of heaven. Once one stepped into the sovereign realm, they were not very useful. But if two eyes of despair merged, it would be a different story. But now, Bing Running only had half of the eye of despair. Even if it brought some negative emotions to Li Feng, the impact would not be great. In fact, Bing Running knew this in her heart. The current eye of despair could not really cause Li Feng to fall into it. What she needed to do was to make Li Feng distracted for a moment. Because in a battle of this level, a slight distraction would give the opponent the opportunity to kill. She needed this opportunity. Therefore, the instant she activated her eyes of despair, she attacked without hesitation. All sorts of laws, profundities, and super forbidden techniques were directed at Li Feng. But she had obviously underestimated Li Feng. One had to know. In terms of killing, Li Feng far surpassed Qin Feiyang. The number of living beings that had died in his hands was countless. It was also because of these killings that his character became ruthless and cold. His heart was as hard as stone. Moreover, in these killings, regardless of whether it was his battle experience or his battle awareness, they were far superior to others. Such feelings of despair could not really affect Li Feng. Boom! Almost at the same time as Bing Running attacked, Li Feng also attacked. How could this be? Bing Running was stunned again. He was not affected at all. The aura of despair, if I'm not wrong, it should be one of the legendary 10 strongest fighting souls, the Eye of Despair. However, aren't you looking down on me too much? How can such negative emotions affect my mind? Li Feng sneered. Who in the world did not know about the 10 strongest fighting souls? Therefore, Li Feng quickly thought of the Eye of Despair. Boom! As soon as Li Feng finished speaking, the forbidden technique and the various profundities collided. This time, Li Feng still had the upper hand. Moreover, Li Feng realized that the battle had dragged on for too long. He immediately activated his puppet true body. As soon as the three puppets' true bodies appeared, they activated all sorts of profound meanings and forbidden techniques. Their terrifying aura made Bing Running feel despair. What's going on? This person also had 3,000 incarnations. Not 3,000 clones, but it's enough to kill you. Li Feng smiled savagely. 3 puppet true bodies, plus his true body, were equivalent to 4 Li Fengs. Not to mention the profound laws, even the 4 great forbidden techniques were not something Bing Running could match. Although the divine phoenix domain also possessed an extremely strong defense, it was still easily destroyed by the 4 super forbidden techniques. As expected. With a loud crack, the divine phoenix domain shattered with a loud bang. The 4 super forbidden arts and the profundities of laws surged towards Bing Running like a flood. Ice Phoenix Sword, run! Bing Running roared in despair, and a destructive aura rushed out of her body. She said resentfully, Qin Feiyang, sooner or later, you will fall into my hands. At that time, I will let you taste a fate worse than death. And you, Li Feng. Boom! As soon as her voice fell, Bing Running's body exploded in the void, and a destructive wave swept out in all directions. Self-destruction. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Clang! At this time, the Ice Phoenix Sword took the opportunity to break through the air like lightning. Where do you think you're going? The Grim Reaper's sword suddenly blocked in front of the Ice Phoenix Sword. When it heard that Bing Running wanted the Ice Phoenix Sword to escape, it had already moved. The Ice Phoenix Sword's heart sank, and it turned to escape in the other direction. Clang! The ancient castle also appeared at this time, blocking the path of the Ice Phoenix Sword. At the same time, the Gold Sun Divine Sword and the Silver Moon Divine Sword appeared one after another, erasing the waves of Bing Running's self-destruction. Although their bodies were heavily injured and had not recovered, with their strength, erasing the waves of self-destruction was not a problem. You guys go and help as well. Qin Feiyang pointed to the Ice Phoenix Sword and said to the 2 divine generals. Are you kidding me? Both of us brothers have been beaten up by you, how can we help? The Gold Sun Divine Sword suddenly howled. Don't you know how to help the ancient castle and the Death God Sword? Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. Humph. You're already seriously injured, and you still want us to help. You're simply inhumane. The 2 divine swords snorted and flew over reluctantly, blocking the other 2 directions. What's going on? You want us to help intercept them because of that human youth? Not far away. Seeing this scene, the ancient pagoda and the golden bell couldn't help but feel a trace of suspicion in their hearts. They originally thought that the 2 divine swords asked them to help intercept them because Bing Running and the Ice Phoenix Sword had offended the 2 divine swords, so the 2 divine swords wanted to take revenge on them. But they didn't expect it to be for a human. And looking at the attitude of the 2 divine swords, they seemed to be afraid of this human youth. Phew! Seeing that the Ice Phoenix Sword was stopped, Qin Feiyang let out a long sigh. Qin Dage, how am I? Li Feng flew to Qin Feiyang's side and looked at Qin Feiyang eagerly, like a child longing for an adult's praise. Amazing! Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at Li Feng's face, immediately revealing a smile, and said, but don't be complacent, with your strength, you can at most fight with someone like Bing Running. I know. Li Feng nodded. Anyway, as long as he can get the approval of this big brother. It's a pity for Bing Running. I didn't expect her soul to be left outside. I wanted to capture her alive, bring her back, and hand her over to the demon ancestor. Qin Feiyang shook his head regretfully. Demon ancestor? Li Feng was slightly stunned and asked suspiciously, "Why do you want to hand her over to the demon ancestor?" "Because the demon ancestor has also opened the eye of despair. Don't think about it. Anyway, she's still alive. When I return to the sky cloud realm, I'll look for her again." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Qin Feiyang didn't transmit these words, but they were all heard by the Ice Phoenix sword, and it was suddenly shocked. It can't be. The other person who opened the eye of despair was actually someone around Qin Feiyang. It could already predict how dangerous Bing Runing's situation would be in the future. Because whether it was Qin Feiyang or the so-called demon ancestor, they would definitely try their best to snatch the eye of despair. Walking to the side of the castle, Qin Feiyang looked at the Ice Phoenix sword and said with a smile, "Let's talk." "You want this senior to submit?" the Ice Phoenix sword asked. "Smart." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "Impossible." The Ice Phoenix sword flatly refused. "So straightforward?" Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, and said with a wry smile, "But have you ever thought that a person like Bing Runing is really worth your life?" The Ice Phoenix sword was silent. The Golden Bell coldly snorted and said disdainfully, "This senior will say something fair. That human woman is indeed not qualified to make our sovereign divine weapon work for her." "What do you mean?" The Gold Sun divine sword was curious. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng also looked at the Golden Bell suspiciously. "You don't know, but her attitude towards the sovereign divine weapon at that time, this senior wanted to beat her up. Obviously, the sovereign divine weapon has been protecting her, but she actually said, 'Why are you so useless?' If this senior dared to say such words, I would have already killed her." The Golden Bell said contemptuously. "Indeed. Others have protected you like this, not to mention how to repay, but at least in your heart, you should know how to be grateful. Humans are indeed selfish things." The ancient pagoda also said. "So it's like this." Qin Feiyang, Li Feng, and the four sovereign divine weapons suddenly understood. Cough cough. Qin Feiyang dryly coughed, looked at the two sovereign divine weapons, and said with a smile, "Seniors, this junior admires your honesty, but you can't say such things. She's not a human, she's obviously an Ice Phoenix." The two sovereign divine weapons were stunned. "Humph. There's no difference. That's it, get out of here." The two Dominator divine weapons snorted and left without looking back. "There's still a difference between the human race and the foam people," Qin Feiyang said helplessly. "It's all Bing Runing's fault, she's even tarnished the reputation of the human race." Li Feng looked at the Gold Sun godly sword and Silver Moon godly sword, and asked sneakily, "You two bastards, didn't you want to drag them down? Why didn't you do anything?" "Who's the bastard? Say that again." The two sovereign divine swords suddenly emitted a dangerous aura. "Ha!" Li Feng laughed dryly. "Young people should know how to respect the old and love the young, do you understand?" The Gold Sun godly sword reprimanded, pondered for a moment, and laughed, "This matter is not urgent, when the time comes, we will go and harm them." As expected, it's not a good bird. Li Feng secretly sighed. If the ancient pagoda and the Golden Bell knew what this guy was thinking, they would definitely go crazy with anger. Qin Feiyang glanced at the Gold Sun godly sword, and his eyes flashed. If he could really get the ancient pagoda and the Golden Bell, then it would really be a great thing. But now, it's better to persuade the Ice Phoenix sword first. Qin Feiyang looked at the Ice Phoenix sword, and sighed, "I really didn't expect that Bing Runing would have such an attitude towards an existence like you. It seems that she is really used to being arrogant and despotic." The Ice Phoenix sword said emotionlessly, "You don't have to deliberately provoke this sovereign. I'm not provoking you, I just feel that it's not worth it for you. Thinking back to the Sky Cloud realm, how many times have we fought, how many times have you saved her? Is this how she repaid you? You are a dignified sovereign divine weapon, no one in this world can take away your freedom, and no one has the right to trample on your dignity. You could have chosen another path. I guess you have seen it with your own eyes. The white dragon sword, the golden dragon spear, and the black dragon mirror have all chosen to accompany me. I don't dare to promise anything else, but at least I dare to promise that I have always respected you sovereign divine weapons. Qin Feiyang said with sincerity. Chapter 3698. Respect? Why didn't we see it? You don't have such an attitude towards us. Gold Sun Sword and Silver Moon Sword were immediately indignant. Will you die if you don't speak? Qin Feiyang glared at them angrily. Are you a professional teardown? You won't let others speak the truth. The two great swords snorted coldly. They were quite dissatisfied with Qin Feiyang's biased attitude. Qin Feiyang felt powerless and asked, how about I remove the blood oath now and you guys leave? If he couldn't afford to offend him, why couldn't he hide? If you tell us to leave, we'll leave. We'll talk about it later. We are Dominator divine weapons, yet you despise us so much. Don't we have any face? The two great immortal swords were really like scoundrels, causing Qin Feiyang to feel despair. How could it be these two things? Shouldn't a dignified Dominator divine weapon be cold and aloof? Sigh. This should be considered asking for trouble. However, if he really wanted to remove the blood oath, he wouldn't be able to bear it. After all, no matter how much of a bastard he was still a Dominator divine weapon. Qin Feiyang once again looked at the Ice Phoenix sword, and said with sincerity, believe me, you will not regret your choice today. The Ice Phoenix sword remained silent. Qin Feiyang sighed, if you really don't want to, then I can only be ruthless and destroy you. After all, you are my future enemy. Are you threatening this sovereign? The Ice Phoenix sword finally spoke. Respect is mutual. Qin Feiyang did not answer directly. But the meaning was already quite obvious. If you abandon the dark and join the light, I will respect you. But if you are stubborn, then I can only be ruthless. The Ice Phoenix sword was a Dominator divine weapon, so it naturally understood what Qin Feiyang meant. Moreover, after fighting so many times, it was also well aware of Qin Feiyang's character and methods. If it dared to say no now, Qin Feiyang would definitely attack immediately without any hesitation. Sigh. Seeing that the Ice Phoenix sword did not speak for a long time, Qin Feiyang sighed softly and said, looks like my sincerity is not enough to move you. How about this, let's both swear a blood oath. Just like the golden dragon spear, white dragon sword, and black dragon mirror, no matter what happens in the future, we will use our lives to protect each other's rights and dignity. In other words, we are not working for each other. We are partners who rely on each other, friends who help each other. When Qin Feiyang said this, a bitter smile crept up on his face, and he said, I really don't know what's going on today. I can obviously force you to swear a blood oath, but I still have to lower my voice and compromise. Do I have masochistic tendencies? Using our lives to protect each other's rights and dignity, Ice Phoenix sword murmured. His heart seemed to have been touched, and he began to waver. I really don't understand. What else is there to consider? To put it bluntly, you are working like a horse in foam people, but you are here as a boss. Do you still need us to tell you which one is more comfortable? Li Feng was speechless. This was the first time he had met such a stubborn Dominator divine weapon. Sigh. Ice Phoenix sword sighed and finally made a decision, saying, all right, this sovereign agrees. Let's swear a blood oath to protect each other. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed when he heard this. At least he didn't waste so much breath. Compared to a fierce battle, this peaceful solution was naturally the most perfect. At this moment, Qin Feiyang took a step forward and landed in front of Ice Phoenix sword. One man and one sword stood facing each other, making a promise to protect each other. Welcome. The ancient castle and the death god sword chuckled. Feng Ho will definitely not let this sovereign off. At that time, I will have to count on the two of you to help me. Ice Phoenix Sword smiled bitterly. Don't worry. We're already on the same side. We're duty-bound to help you. The ancient castle smiled. Thank you. Ice Phoenix Sword smiled gratefully. Gold Sun Divine Sword asked curiously, Qin Feiyang, how much hatred do you have with the Feng people and the dragons to poach them like this? You're asking me? I don't know either. Because they have always been targeting me. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Do they have nothing better to do? Why would they target you for no reason? Gold Sun Divine Sword was speechless. Qin Feiyang looked at Gold Sun Divine Sword, then looked at Ice Phoenix Sword and said, You should know the reason why the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan are targeting me, right? Ice Phoenix Sword pondered for a moment, then sighed, because of your ancestor, the human emperor. As expected. Qin Feiyang muttered, frowning, how did the human emperor die back then? Ice Phoenix Sword asked suspiciously, don't the little rabbit and the feather emperor know? Why don't you ask them? I did, but they didn't say. Last time, the Dragon King, Feng Ho, the Kirin Master, the little rabbit, and the feather emperor were all there. But what did they say? Let me make a promise to never betray the Sky Cloud Realm before telling me. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead, feeling a headache. That's for sure. If it's me, if you don't make a promise first, I won't tell you either. Ice Phoenix Sword sighed. Then why don't you tell me? Consider it as me begging you. Qin Feiyang looked at Ice Phoenix Sword with longing. Ice Phoenix Sword pondered for a moment and said, Okay, I'll tell you, but you have to be mentally prepared. I've been prepared for a long time. Qin Feiyang was pleasantly surprised. Ice Phoenix Sword said, the human emperor's wife, the purple gold divine dragon, she actually, came from the divine kingdom. What? Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. The purple gold divine dragon actually came from the divine kingdom? Li Feng also had a face of shock. He really didn't expect that the purple gold divine dragon had such a background. You didn't hear wrong. She is from the divine kingdom. Moreover, her status in the divine kingdom is not low. The ruler of the divine kingdom is the purple gold divine dragon, and she was the princess of the purple gold divine dragon at that time. Ice Phoenix Sword sighed. Princess, Qin Feiyang murmured. This truth was too shocking, and he couldn't digest it for a while. Now you know why the Dragon King and the others want to kill you. The purple gold divine dragon clan is the ruler of the divine kingdom. As the descendant of the human emperor and the princess of the divine kingdom, you are naturally related to the divine kingdom. Moreover, you are the most direct relatives. In other words, you are equivalent to half a person of the divine kingdom. And your talent and strength, the Dragon King and the others have seen it. If your position is clear and you always stand on the side of the Sky Cloud Realm, it will naturally be a great help to the Sky Cloud Realm. But if you choose the Divine Kingdom, then you will be a powerful enemy that threatens the Sky Cloud Realm. Ice Phoenix Sword sighed. So they want to get rid of me? Qin Feiyang whispered. Yes. The Feather Emperor and the Little Rabbit have a good relationship with the Human Emperor, especially the Feather Emperor. As the younger brother of the Human Emperor, you are also his direct descendant. So, for an unknown like you, they are willing to take the risk. But the Dragon King and the others are different. They don't dare to take the risk, and they don't dare to believe in you. Ice Phoenix Sword sighed. Human Emperor, the princess of the Divine Kingdom, Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. It was really heaven's will. As for the reason why the Dragon King, Feng Ho, and the Qilin Lord killed the Human Emperor back then, it was because of this. The Divine Kingdom came to invade the Sky Cloud Realm, and the Human Emperor, as the leader of the human race in the Sky Cloud Realm, actually walked together with the princess of the Divine Kingdom. Naturally, he was unhappy. Not to mention the Dragon King and the others. At that time, even the Little Rabbit and the Feather Emperor strongly opposed it. So later, after everyone joined forces to drive away the Divine Kingdom, while the Human Emperor and the Feather Emperor were seriously injured, the Dragon King and the others decisively took action and plotted against the Human Emperor. Unfortunately, the Human Emperor fell. The Princess of the Divine Kingdom was also sealed in the core area of the land of the buried gods. As for the Feather Emperor, at that time, we all thought that he had also fallen, but we didn't expect that he actually escaped and now returned with a strong force. This is the secret of that year. Ice Phoenix Sword said. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed. Before knowing the truth, he was very eager. Now that he finally knew, he regretted it a little. Because after knowing, his heart became heavier. Ice Phoenix Sword pondered for a while and said, now that you know the truth, and there are no outsiders here, why don't you tell me, what is your position in your heart? I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. He was very confused. Ice Phoenix Sword sighed, it seems that the worries of the Dragon King and the others are not unreasonable, but I can understand your hesitation. After all, on one side was the Sky Cloud realm that the Human Emperor desperately protected, and on the other side was the homeland of the Human Emperor's wife, the Princess of the Divine Kingdom. As their descendant, Qin Feiyang was sandwiched in the middle. Thank you. Qin Feiyang smiled gratefully, looked at the sky, and sighed, actually, my position is not important. What is important is the position of my ancestor. Ancestor? Ice Phoenix Sword was stunned. Yes. There is one person that I have never disclosed to the public. This person is my ancestor, Qin Batian. And his other identity is the son of the Human Emperor and the Princess of the Divine Kingdom. Qin Feiyang said. What? The son of the Human Emperor and the Princess of the Divine Kingdom is actually alive? Ice Phoenix Sword was shocked. The identity of my ancestor has been personally confirmed by the Feather Emperor, so it can't be fake. As their son, my ancestor's relationship with the Divine Kingdom is undoubtedly deeper. Unlike me, we are separated by several generations. Even if we are related by blood, I don't feel anything for the Divine Kingdom. Qin Feiyang shook his head. That's true. As the son of the Human Emperor and the Princess of the Divine Kingdom, the father of the Princess of the Divine Kingdom, the King of the Divine Kingdom, is your ancestor's grandfather. Grandfather, grandson, this relationship is the closest family. In the face of such kinship, I believe that anyone in the world would find it difficult to make a choice. Ice Phoenix Sword sighed. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded, worried. This is not right. Since the Princess of the Divine Kingdom has chosen to be with the Human Emperor, it means that they are truly in love. It is even possible that the Princess of the Divine Kingdom is already on the side of the Sky Cloud realm. No matter how much the Dragon King and the others hate them, they shouldn't have plotted against them. Li Feng frowned. You don't understand the tragedy of that battle at all. Because of the Divine Kingdom, the people of the Sky Cloud realm were plunged into misery and suffering. Heaven and earth fell apart. Not only the dragons, the Feng people, the Kirin clan, but even the Human clan, the Sea Beast clan, and the Beast clan hated the Divine Kingdom to the core. And I just mentioned that even the Feather Emperor and the Little Rabbit strongly opposed them being together. Do you want to know how much damage the Divine Kingdom brought to the Sky Cloud realm back then? Therefore, it is understandable that the Dragon King and the others attacked in anger. Ice Phoenix Sword said. Chapter 3699. Li Feng fell silent. Even the Little Rabbit and the Feather Emperor opposed it. What the Divine Kingdom did back then was indeed too inhumane. Of course. The dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin clan are not without selfishness. Ice Phoenix Sword said again. Selfishness? Qin Feiyang and Li Feng were stunned. They looked up at Ice Phoenix Sword and asked, what selfishness? Where there are people, there will naturally be conflicts of interest. The human emperor and the dragon king have always been at odds. They can be considered old rivals, and the human race was very powerful back then. Just the human race alone had the ability to fight against the three major races. Therefore, for the three major races, the love between the human emperor and the princess of the divine kingdom is equivalent to a reason to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. Ice Phoenix Sword said. Just the human race alone can fight against the three major races. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng were shocked. It was really beyond their imagination. Back then, the human race had three super powerhouses. The human emperor, the feather emperor, and the blood ancestor were all extremely powerful. Looking at the three major races, only the dragon king, Feng Ho, and the Kirin lord could fight against them. Ice Phoenix Sword said. Three super powerhouses, Qin Feiyang murmured. He was extremely shocked. Wait. The blood ancestor. This, Qin Feiyang and Li Feng looked at each other. The blood ancestor mentioned by Ice Phoenix Sword couldn't be the blood ancestor they knew, right? When he came back to his senses, Li Feng hurriedly asked, "Who is the blood ancestor?" He was extremely nervous. Qin Feiyang was the same. Although the blood ancestor wasn't the human emperor's brother like the feather emperor, their relationship was very good. At that time, the human emperor, the feather emperor, and the blood ancestor were known as the three leaders of the human race. They were the spiritual pillars of the entire human race. Later, when the Dragon King and the others ambushed the human emperor, the blood ancestor unfortunately fell. Speaking of this, Ice Phoenix Sword shrouded Li Feng with divine sense and said in confusion, "But I don't know why I can sense the blood ancestor's aura on you." Li Feng's heart trembled. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but turn to look at Li Feng. Since even the Ice Phoenix Sword could sense the aura of the blood ancestor from Li Feng's body, then the blood ancestor they were familiar with was definitely one of the three great leaders back then, the blood ancestor. He hadn't expected the blood ancestor to have such a powerful background. However, why was the blood ancestor in the ancient realm? And why did Long Tianyu also have the aura of the blood ancestor? Li Feng asked, "Qin Dage, since the blood ancestor is the brother of the human sovereign, he shouldn't harm me, right?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. It seemed that he had worried too much before. However, in order to confirm, Qin Feiyang looked at the Ice Phoenix Sword and asked, "What methods does the blood ancestor have?" Although the blood ancestor was one of the three great leaders of the human race, he wasn't a kind person when he was young. Killing people like scything flax. In his eyes, there was never any sympathy or pity. His most terrifying method was to devour the flesh and blood of living creatures to strengthen his own strength. Furthermore, it is said that when he entered the Heavenly Bell Divine Treasure, he obtained a terrifying secret technique that allowed him to devour the souls of the undead and absorb the law energy contained within them for his own use. The Ice Phoenix Sword said. "That's right." Qin Feiyang muttered. "What's right?" The Ice Phoenix Sword was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, "The blood ancestor didn't fall either, he came back." "What?" The Ice Phoenix Sword was shocked. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "Li Feng can be considered the disciple of the blood ancestor, the secret technique you are talking about, Li Feng has mastered it." This, the Ice Phoenix Sword's divine sense firmly locked onto Li Feng, and there was a wave of shock. The Feather Emperor had returned, and so had the blood ancestor. None of them had died. Qin Feiyang looked at Li Feng and shook his head with a smile. "Now I finally understand why the blood ancestor took you to hide. He was afraid of being discovered by the Dragon King, Feng Ho, and the Qilin Master. I'm afraid this is the truth he wanted to tell you." Li Feng nodded. Qin Feiyang looked at Li Feng suspiciously and frowned, "But I'm a little puzzled as to why the blood ancestor would like you." "Ahem." Li Feng coughed and laughed. "Needless to say, it must be because I'm talented. Qin Feiyang was speechless. Is it really good to be so shameless at such a young age? The Ice Phoenix Sword said, in fact, there was a race that made great contributions during the war with the Divine Kingdom, but this race was also the most pitiful. They were wiped out in the war back then. What race? Qin Feiyang and Li Feng were shocked. They were wiped out. The Blood Demon race. The Ice Phoenix Sword said. What? The Blood Demon race? Not to mention Qin Feiyang and Li Feng, even the castle was shocked. You know about the Blood Demon race? The Ice Phoenix Sword looked at the reaction of Qin Feiyang and the castle and asked suspiciously. Yes. The Blood Demon race was not wiped out. They are now living in the lower realm. I still have a lot of connections with the Blood Demon race. Qin Feiyang said. Not wiped out. The Ice Phoenix Sword was stunned. This was really unexpected. After pondering for a while, the Ice Phoenix Sword asked, then is the Blood Demon race in the Hell King's hell now? You know about the Hell King's hell? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Yes. Not only do I know, but Dragon King and the others also know. When the Divine Kingdom descended, not only the Sky Cloud Realm, but even the Hell King's hell was not spared. The Ice Phoenix Sword sighed. So, the Blood Demon race was also in the Sky Cloud Realm back then? Qin Feiyang asked. He had a hunch that the mystery of senior brother Feng Zi's background was about to be solved. Yes. The Blood Demon race was also in existence like the dragons, the Feng people, and the Kirin race back then. And the leader of the Blood Demon race was known as the Blood Demon King. His strength was not inferior to the human emperor and the others. I remember that back then, when the master of the divine nation learned that there were other continents beneath the Sky Cloud Realm, he ordered an expert of the divine nation to lead a group of people and kill their way to the lower realms. At that time, it was the Blood Demon King who stepped forward and led the entire Blood Demon race to intercept them. But since then, not only the Blood Demon race, but even the Blood Demon King never returned to the Sky Cloud Realm. The Ice Phoenix Sword said. They actually used the power of an entire race to intercept the powerhouses of the Divine Kingdom? Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. How powerful was the Divine Kingdom? Li Feng asked, what about the powerhouses of the Divine Kingdom? Only one of them came back. This person is the leader of the Divine Kingdom. It is said that he is one of the strongest under the command of the Lord of the Divine Kingdom. However, he was also seriously injured by the Blood Demon King and didn't participate in the battle afterward. The Ice Phoenix Sword said. So, the Blood Demon King is still slightly inferior. Li Feng frowned. Yes. The Ice Phoenix Sword replied. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and asked, then after the battle, why didn't you go to the Blood Demon race in the hell? Although the passage to the lower realm has rules and restrictions, it shouldn't affect powerhouses like you and the Dragon King. The Ice Phoenix Sword said, because after the battle, the passage to the lower realm was blocked by the little rabbit. I am now wondering if the little rabbit is deliberately protecting the Blood Demon race. If a powerhouse like the Dragon King and a sovereign divine weapon like you really want to go to the lower realm, the little rabbit alone can't stop them. Qin Feiyang frowned. Of course it can stop them. The little rabbit's strength is similar to ours, but its identity in the Sky Cloud Realm is not something we can offend. The Ice Phoenix Sword said. What identity? Qin Feiyang was surprised. You should ask it yourself in the future. Because it's not convenient for me to say much about its situation. The Ice Phoenix Sword seemed to be a little afraid. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded. It seemed that he didn't find any mystery about the madman's background. No. There was a clue. Suddenly. Qin Feiyang asked the Ice Phoenix Sword, did the Blood Demon King have a sovereign divine weapon back then? Yes. It's called the Blood Demon Tower. The Ice Phoenix sword said. Sure enough. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. Back then, the guardian of the miracle fire python guessed that the blood demon tower might be a sovereign divine weapon, but he didn't expect it to be true. And the blood demon tower was the blood demon king's sovereign divine weapon. Then, when the blood demon tower chose to follow the madman, did that mean that the madman was really the reincarnation of the blood demon king? Because back then, they had guessed that the madman might be the reincarnation of the blood demon clan's ancestor. And the ancestor of the blood demon clan was the blood demon king. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, then looked at the Ice Phoenix sword and asked, there is one more question, why does the Yin demon power exist in the Yin demon land? The madman was able to absorb the Yin demon power and felt a familiar calling in the Yin demon land, so it must be related to the madman. The Yin demon land was originally the land of the blood demon clan. The Ice Phoenix sword said. The land of the blood demon clan? Qin Feiyang was shocked. That's right. And the Yin demon power is formed from the divine power of the blood demon king. To tell you the truth, when we saw the madman, we already thought that he might be related to the blood demon king. Because not only can he absorb the Yin demon power, but he can also transform into the blood demon clan. However, what is the relationship between him and the blood demon king? We need you to help us answer this. The Ice Phoenix sword said. I don't know either. Qin Feiyang shook his head, pondered for a while, and said, but we all suspect that senior brother should be the reincarnation of the blood demon king. Reincarnation, the Ice Phoenix sword murmured with a wry smile, I really didn't expect that the former powerhouses are all returning one after another, and now only the human emperor is left. Could it be that the human emperor has also reincarnated and returned? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, this is just our guess, it hasn't been confirmed yet. Even if he isn't the reincarnation of the blood demon king, he must be related to the blood demon king. And this sovereign has a premonition that with the madman's talent and fortune, he will definitely become the next blood demon king in the future. Feather Emperor, Blood Ancestor, Blood Demon King, it seems that with the arrival of the Divine Kingdom, our Sky Cloud realm might not have no chance of winning. But in the end, it still depends on how you and Qin Badian choose. The Ice Phoenix sword said. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and shook his head. Some things, when you haven't reached that step, it's really difficult to choose. Chapter 3700. The Ice Phoenix sword was silent for a while before sighing. Now that we have become companions, I naturally hope that you can stand on the side of the Sky Cloud realm. Why? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Even though I'm a sovereign armament, I had to use all of my power in the battle against the theocracy. I almost died. Revenge is a must. The Divine Kingdom has descended again. I naturally can't let them have an easy time. The Ice Phoenix sword coldly snorted, her words carried a piercing killing intent. Qin Feiyang looked deeply at the Ice Phoenix sword and didn't directly give a definite answer. Instead, he asked suspiciously, how can the seal of the land of buried gods be lifted? And why didn't the Dragon King and the others directly kill the Divine Kingdom's princess back then? They didn't kill her because of the little rabbit. Although the little rabbit was against the human emperor and the Divine Kingdom's princess at first, when she saw the human emperor fall, she couldn't help but feel compassion in her heart. That's why she came forward to stop the Dragon King and the others. As for lifting the seal, not to mention the current you, even the Feather Emperor and the little rabbit can't do it. That's because the seal in the core region was jointly set up by the Dragon King, the Phoenix Queen, the Qilin Master, and all the sovereign divine weapons of the three great races, including myself, as well as the surviving old antiques of the three great races. The Ice Phoenix sword said. No way. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng looked at each other. Putting aside the Dragon King, Feng Ho, and the Qilin Lord, their strength was obvious to all. As for the sovereign weapons of the three races, as far as they knew, there were at least 30 of them in total. And counting the reclusive antiques of the three races who had mastered the ultimate mysteries, with such a lineup, there was no hope of lifting the seal that was jointly laid down. No wonder even Yun Xiang, the masked Shura, and the various divine beasts of the land of buried gods could only watch helplessly. Qin Feiyang asked, "Then what's the origin of the divine beasts in the land of buried gods?" The Ice Phoenix sword said, "They were all companions of the human sovereign, just like the vicious beasts beside you. In short, all the divine beasts by the human sovereign's side that survived that battle are now in the land of buried gods." "I see." Qin Feiyang nodded. No wonder the black-clothed middle-aged man kept saying that he wouldn't hurt him. Other details, when the divine kingdom descends in the future, you will slowly understand. As for the details of what happened to the Blood Ancestor and the Blood Demon King, I'm afraid we'll have to wait until their true bodies appear. So, from now on, don't think too much. Work hard to improve your strength. Feng people, dragons, this time, the Qilin clan is determined to keep you in the Heavenly Bell divine treasure. Therefore, in the future, you will have to face many bitter battles. Ice Phoenix Sword said. "I'm ready to fight." Qin Feiyang sneered. No matter what, the human sovereign fell because of the Dragon King and the other two. And there was also selfishness mixed in. There was a good saying, a debt of blood must be paid in blood. Li Feng laughed and said, "As long as they aren't together now, it should be us who hunt them." Ice Phoenix Sword, White Dragon Sword, Golden Dragon Spear, Black Dragon Mirror, Golden Sun Godly Sword, Silver Moon Godly Sword, Ancient Castle, and Grim Reaper's Sword. A total of 8 sovereign divine weapons. It was equivalent to the White-Eyed Wolf, Frenzy, Yun Xiang, and the others combined. That was a total of 12 sovereign divine weapons. With such a lineup, unless the people of the 3 major clans were all gathered together, they would kill anyone they saw. Low profile, low profile. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and smiled. He turned his head to look at the 2 divine swords and asked, "Then, shall we go and visit your 2 old friends?" He still wanted to fight for the Golden Bell and the ancient pagoda. Visit? You still have to be so reserved. Just say it. We are going to suppress them. If you don't agree, then fight. The 2 divine swords clamored. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched violently. The more he looked at them, the more they looked like 2 scammers. But before the 2 divine swords finished their words, 2 angry roars suddenly sounded. "Bastards, is this how you treat your friends? You have really blinded us." Ah! The 2 divine swords were shocked. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng hurriedly looked up and saw the Golden Bell and the ancient pagoda fly out from the mountains not far away. They were only the size of a palm and didn't have any aura on them. "Didn't you leave?" Golden Sun Godly Sword asked in shock. "If we left, would we still have the chance to see your true faces?" The ancient pagoda snorted. "Ha, don't misunderstand. You guys know my personality. I like to talk nonsense." Golden Sun Godly Sword laughed dryly and quickly explained. "Scram." Immediately after, it said, "Qin Feiyang, helping you before is already considered a favor. Thus, don't try to reach for a yard after being given an inch." "Seniors," Qin Feiyang was about to speak. "Don't say anything, we don't plan to leave this place. As for you 2 bastards, we will break off our friendship in the future and never come into contact with each other again." After the ancient pagoda and the Golden Bell finished speaking, they turned around and flew away without looking back. How heartless. Golden Sun Godly Sword sighed. Qin Feiyang and Li Feng looked at each other and couldn't help but reveal a wry smile. They wanted to fight for it, but in the end, they didn't even have the chance to speak. Silver Moon Godly Sword said, "Qin Feiyang, you saw it too. Don't say that we didn't help you. It's fine. It's fine. Besides, they are not our enemies. We have no reason to force them to follow us. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Even if they couldn't become companions, they definitely couldn't become enemies. Moreover, karma was a wonderful thing. For example, the Green Cauldron. Back then, the Feather Emperor had saved it, and now the Green Cauldron was helping him. If the Sky Bell Divine Treasure were to appear again in the future, if the descendants of the Qin bloodline, or the descendants of his friends were to enter the Sky Bell Divine Treasure, perhaps they would receive the care of the Crimson Gold Bell and the ancient pagoda like him. In short, today, they had formed a good karma. No matter if they met again in the future, they would remember each other in their hearts. Let's find a place to recuperate first. These two bastards' bodies are severely injured. If they encounter a strong enemy, they will drag us down. Qin Feiyang looked at the castle, the Sword of Death, and the Ice Phoenix Sword. You don't need to ask us about this. Just decide for yourself. The Ice Phoenix Sword said. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded and scanned the surroundings. Finally, he looked at a giant mountain in the distance and smiled, let's go. Whoosh! The two of them and the 5 sovereign divine weapons immediately flew above the giant mountain. If only there was a time array. Qin Feiyang whispered. It was a pity that the white-eyed wolf was not here, because among the few of them, only the white-eyed wolf had mastered the law of time. Li Feng frowned and said, without the time array, how long will it take for the two of them to repair their bodies? Isn't it all your fault? Don't you know how to talk things over? Why did you have to attack us? The two divine swords were dissatisfied. Or is it our fault? You guys are really shameless. Who was it that chased after us with all their might? Li Feng said angrily. Cough cough, the two divine swords were embarrassed when they heard this. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but roll his eyes. After pondering for a moment, he looked at the two divine swords and asked, is the law of life helpful to your sovereign divine weapons in repairing their bodies? Of course. The two divine swords replied. Qin Feiyang asked curiously, then, between the origin energy and the law of life, which one has the best effect on repairing your bodies? Nonsense. Of course, it's the origin energy. It's a pity that after living for so many years, I haven't even seen what the origin energy is like. Golden Sun Divine Sword sighed regretfully. Qin Feiyang said, follow me back to the Sky Cloud Realm, and you will have the chance to see it. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old kid? Golden Sun Divine Sword despised. Didn't I say that I control an independent world? Now, many divine weapons around me are cultivating in the land of origin. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Hee hee. Do you believe me when I say that I'm the god of creation? The two divine swords laughed sarcastically. Forget it if you don't believe me. Qin Feiyang was too lazy to talk nonsense with them. With a wave of his hand, the law of life emerged and drowned the two divine weapons. Qin Dage, you, Li Feng suddenly stared at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Ice Phoenix Sword was also extremely surprised. This little guy actually mastered the law of life. Why had he never heard of it before? What's wrong? Qin Feiyang looked at Li Feng suspiciously. Is this the law of life? Li Feng asked. Nonsense. If this isn't the law of life, then what is it? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. But, Li Feng had a look of disbelief. There's nothing to be surprised about. I'll comprehend the law of life and death first. If you can't stay idle, you can go hunt skeletons nearby. Qin Feiyang finished speaking and sat cross-legged on the ground. A death force and a life force spread out from his body. The two forces intertwined with each other without any sign of rejection, as if they were one. Law of death. Li Feng looked at this scene and only noticed that there was one more law of death. But Ice Phoenix Sword, Golden Sun Divine Sword, and Silver Moon Divine Sword noticed the fusion of the two laws, and their hearts suddenly set off stormy waves. What's wrong with you guys? Sensing the strong emotional fluctuations of the three sovereign divine weapons, Li Feng looked at them suspiciously. Comprehending two strongest laws, for Qin Dage, this didn't seem to be a big deal. You don't understand. Ice Phoenix Sword said, and its divine sense enveloped Qin Feiyang. After observing for a moment, it said, Li Feng, right? Let's go, I'll accompany you to hunt skeletons and see if you can really devour the souls of the dead like blood ancestor. Thank you. Li Feng was overjoyed. With the help of a sovereign divine weapon, wouldn't it be a one-sided massacre? At that moment, one man and one sword flew into the distance. I really didn't expect that he could actually fuse the power of life and death, the power of life and death. What a terrifying young man, Ice Phoenix Sword muttered. Huh? What power of life and death? Li Feng was surprised. Nothing. Ice Phoenix Sword replied lightly. But the shock in its heart couldn't be calmed down. Even a sovereign divine weapon like it had never seen the real power of life and death, because no one had ever succeeded in fusing it. Even in the eyes of a sovereign divine weapon, this was just an ethereal legend. But it didn't expect that it would appear in front of it now. Chapter 3701. At the peak of the mountain. Qin Feiyang closed his eyes and meditated. The ancient castle returned to Qin Feiyang's body. The sword of the Grim Reaper stood guard at the side. The Gold Sun God's sword and the Silver Moon God's sword used the law of life to repair their damaged bodies while using their divine sense to investigate Qin Feiyang. It was as if they wanted to see through Qin Feiyang. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang opened his eyes and looked at the two swords angrily. How am I supposed to comprehend the law of life and death like this? His spiritual sense was constantly scanning Yun Che's body, and he didn't even try to hide it. There's nothing I can do. Who told you to be too handsome? The Gold Sun God's sword chuckled. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. But kid, the Gold Sun God's sword changed the topic and asked, do you know how powerful the law of life and death is? Of course I do. The ancient castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper had long told him about how powerful the law of life and death was. You know. The Gold Sun God's sword was slightly stunned and said with a sneaky smile, it seems that I don't need to explain it to you anymore. Work hard. When you comprehend the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death, you will be truly invincible. Even the legendary Supreme Ruler divine weapon won't be your match. Qin Feiyang was stunned and frowned. Supreme Ruler divine weapon. What does that mean? You don't know. The Gold Sun God's sword was stunned. No. A ruler divine weapon is a ruler divine weapon. Why is there a Supreme Ruler divine weapon? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. I really don't know. The Gold Sun God's sword was surprised. The sword of the Grim Reaper suddenly spoke and scolded, repair your body properly. Why are you talking so much nonsense? The Gold Sun God's sword and the Silver Moon God's sword were stunned. So, the sword of the Grim Reaper and the ancient castle were deliberately hiding it from Qin Feiyang? What do you mean? Qin Feiyang looked at the three ruler divine weapons suspiciously. He wasn't stupid. From the tone of the sword of the Grim Reaper, he knew that it was hiding something from him. Sigh. The sword of the Grim Reaper sighed and said, since we've already said this much, there's no need to hide it from you anymore. In fact, sovereign weapons are also divided into different levels. What? There are different levels of sovereign weapons? Qin Feiyang was stunned. This was truly unheard of. That's right. The levels of Dominator divine weapons are also divided into low, middle, high, peak, legendary, and supreme levels. The Thanatos sword explained. Upon hearing this, Qin Feiyang said in astonishment, isn't that the same as a heaven-defying divine artifact? Yes. However, the evolution of a Dominator weapon is just as difficult as the comprehension of ultimate profound. Furthermore, every time you advance to a new realm, you will be baptized by the heavenly tribulation. The heavenly tribulation of a sovereign weapon. Not to mention you, even we don't have any confidence in surviving it. The Death God's sword sighed. The Dominator weapon can still evolve. Qin Feiyang couldn't believe it. Although he had been wandering in the sky cloud realm for so many years, this was the first time he had heard of such a thing. The fact that a Dominator weapon can evolve is also considered a secret. Those who know about it are only super powerhouses like the Dragon King, Feng Ho, and the Feather Emperor. The most important thing is, the necessary condition for a Dominator weapon to evolve is the origin energy. In other words, for us Dominator weapons, only by absorbing the origin energy can we have the possibility of evolving. Otherwise, we will forever be stuck here. The Death God's sword said. No wonder no one told me before. It turns out to be a secret. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. Only by absorbing the origin energy can there be the possibility of evolving. This condition was really quite harsh. To be honest, it was even harder than comprehending the ultimate profound. Because although the ultimate profound was very difficult to comprehend, one could try it at any time and anywhere. However, the origin energy was something that only existed in the land of origin. And, if one wanted to have the land of origin, one must first have an independent world. An independent world, since the beginning of the great Qin dynasty, other than himself, he had never seen anyone else who had a world. So, this hard condition was tantamount to restricting the growth of the Dominator weapon. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang turned his head to look at the Gold Sun Divine Sword and Silver Moon Divine Sword, frowning. You guys are shamelessly following me, is it because I have an independent world? Ah. This kid has a problem with his brain. I think so too. The two divine swords muttered. Who has a problem with their brain? Qin Feiyang glared at them angrily. Nonsense. Of course it's you. Always imagining that you have an independent world. If this isn't a problem with your brain, then what is? Young man, don't lie all day, be more realistic. The two divine swords despised him. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. To tell the truth, no one believed him. Fine. It was his imagination, there was something wrong with his brain. It was best not to beg him in the future. Qin Feiyang looked at the Death God's sword and asked, so now, the Dominator weapons of our Sky Cloud realm are actually all low-level Dominator weapons? Yes. The Death God's sword replied. This, Qin Feiyang scratched his head. For a moment, he couldn't accept it. Every Dominator weapon of the Sky Cloud realm was an invincible existence, but now he was suddenly told that they were all low-level Dominator weapons. This contrast was really hard for him to adapt to. Although they are low-level Dominator weapons, you must not underestimate them because of this. Because the level of a Dominator weapon is equivalent to the ultimate meaning of the strongest law. The Death God's sword explained. Equivalent to the ultimate meaning? Qin Feiyang was stunned. That's right. The power of a low-level Dominator weapon corresponds to the ultimate meaning of a strongest law. The power of a mid-level Dominator weapon corresponds to the ultimate meaning of two strongest laws. The power of a high-level Dominator weapon corresponds to the ultimate meaning of three strongest laws. And so on. You can understand it this way, if you have a high-level Dominator weapon, then the opponent must have the ultimate meaning of three strongest laws to be able to fight with you. The Death God's sword said. So that's how it is. In other words, if it's a supreme-level Dominator weapon, then one must have the ultimate meaning of six strongest laws to be able to match it? Qin Feiyang asked. That's right. As for the ultimate meaning of ordinary laws, although it can be called invincible, it is still a distance away from the ultimate meaning of the strongest laws and Dominator weapons. In today's Sky Cloud realm, there are many people who have mastered the ultimate meaning of ordinary laws, but those who have mastered the ultimate meaning of the strongest laws can be counted on one hand. The Death God's sword sighed. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a sigh, in the sky cloud realm, the only people who have mastered the ultimate profundity of the strongest laws are probably the Feather Emperor, the Little Rabbit, the Phoenix Empress, the Dragon King, and the Qilin Master. I think so too. The Death God's sword said. But how many ultimate meanings have these people mastered? Qin Feiyang was curious. I don't know. After all, I'm not a dominator weapon of the three forbidden zones. As for their strength, I'm definitely not as clear as White Dragon Sword and Ice Phoenix Sword. However, we can also analyze it. Judging from the Blood Dragon Blade's fear of the Dragon King, the Dragon King should have mastered at least two ultimate meanings of the strongest laws. The Death God's sword speculated. Qin Feiyang nodded. After all, only when the Dragon King has the strength to suppress the Dominator weapons would the Blood Dragon Blade be afraid. However, although the ultimate meaning of the strongest law is very strong, it is still only comparable to the power of the Dominator weapons. But the life and death law is different. The life and death law can crush all the strongest laws, so naturally, it can also crush the Dominator weapons. This is what the Golden Sun Divine Sword and the others call true invincibility. The Death God's sword said. So that's how it is. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood and asked, then why didn't you and the castle tell me these things before? This is because I don't want you to bite off more than you can chew. After all, you haven't even comprehended an ordinary ultimate meaning yet. The road ahead of you is still very long. The Death God's sword explained. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. He thought that he was already standing at the peak, but in fact, it was just the beginning. So if possible, put other laws aside and comprehend the ultimate meaning of the life and death law first. This way, you won't have to be afraid of our Dominator weapons. However, the life and death law is not just difficult. And no one will teach you the experience. After all, no one in this world has mastered the life and death law. Not to mention comprehending the ultimate meaning, even the epitome of the law is probably hopeless. The Golden Sun Divine Sword chuckled. Is that so? Then what if I tell you that I have the epitome of the life and death law now? Qin Feiyang looked at it mockingly. Now? How is that possible? You're starting to imagine again. The Golden Sun Divine Sword looked down on him. Huh, Qin Feiyang laughed and said, you can observe my sea of consciousness. I really don't believe it. The Golden Sun Divine Sword released its divine sense again and went straight to Qin Feiyang's sea of consciousness. I'll go. Very soon. It let out a roar. The epitome of the law of thunder, the epitome of the law of war. And, it was really the epitome of the law of life and death. Oh my God, how is that possible? He didn't even comprehend the first profound meaning. How could he have the epitome of the law of life and death? Could it be because he first comprehended the epitome of the law of life and death and then mastered the law of life and death? The Silver Moon Divine Sword looked at the reaction of the Golden Sun Divine Sword and couldn't help but suspiciously observe Qin Feiyang's sea of consciousness. It was also shocked by what it saw. The epitome of the three great laws, no. It was the epitome of the five great laws. Because the epitome of the law of life and death also contained the epitome of the law of death and the law of life. One epitome was equivalent to three epitomes. The two divine swords never thought that they would encounter such a terrifying monster. When this kid grows up, wouldn't it be earth-shattering? How is it? Qin Feiyang looked at the two divine swords. Admirable. The two divine swords said sincerely. To be able to comprehend the law of life and death, how could it not be admirable? Then now, do you have the urge to be loyal to me? Qin Feiyang bared his teeth. Just you. I'm laughing. The two divine arts despised him. Chapter 3702. Laugh all you want. In any case, there will be a time for you to beg me in the future. Qin Feiyang didn't care at all. He turned to look at the sword of the Grim Reaper and asked suspiciously, since you can still evolve, why don't you mention going to the source land to cultivate? Sigh. Even if we can reach the conditions for evolution through the source land, we don't have the confidence to succeed. Let's talk about it later. Right now, the source land of the Black Tortoise realm isn't enough for us sovereign weapons to run over and absorb. Even if we want to go, the kid and the castle won't agree. After all, the castle has already merged with the Black Tortoise realm. Its first consideration is the growth of the Black Tortoise realm. The sword of the Grim Reaper said. Qin Feiyang asked, in other words, if you go to the source land to cultivate, it will affect the growth of the Black Tortoise realm? That's right. You don't have to think about us for now. Although we are all low-level sovereign weapons, in the entire Sky Cloud realm, even if it is a powerhouse like the Dragon King, we still have the power to fight. Although people like the Dragon King may have mastered the ultimate meaning of two supreme laws, we can also join forces with the sovereign divine weapon. If we can't beat 1, 2, 3. So in the Sky Cloud realm, we are still invincible. The sword of the Grim Reaper smiled proudly. All right. Then let's wait for the castle and the kid to decide. When they feel that you can enter the source land, then you can go in. As for the tribulation, there is a good saying, counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. We will talk about it when we reach that step. Qin Feiyang smiled. The sword of the Grim Reaper smiled faintly. Don't just comfort us. You have to think about yourself because when you comprehend the ultimate meaning, you will also undergo tribulation. We will also undergo tribulation. Qin Feiyang was surprised. Of course. Every living being will undergo tribulation when they comprehend the ultimate meaning. The sword of the Grim Reaper said. It seems that I really can't let my guard down. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. 1 day. 2 days. 1 year. 2 years. In the blink of an eye. 10 years passed. Although he had the miniature of the law of life and death, it was still quite difficult to comprehend the life and death mysteries. The most important thing was, they only had 1,000 years of time in the Heaven Bell divine treasure, and they truly couldn't continue wasting time like this. Even if he wanted to cultivate in seclusion, he had to find the white-eyed wolf first. Only with a time array could one truly not waste a single second. He was decisive. Qin Feiyang woke up from his closed-door training. 10 years had passed, and with the sword of the Grim Reaper keeping watch, there were no blind skeletons that came to cause trouble. As for the Gold Sun Godly Sword and the Silver Moon Godly Sword, it would take them at least a few million years to completely repair their shattered bodies. Thus, he was barely able to repair it. When encountering an enemy in battle, the most they could do was to help. It was almost impossible for them to contribute much. In other words, he still needed a time array. If there was a time array, even if it was only a time array that lasted 500 years in a day, 10 years would have passed. That would be more than 1,000,000 years. Even if it wasn't completely repaired, at the very least, it would still be able to face enemies head-on. Time array, Qin Feiyang muttered as he stood up and looked into the distance. It seemed that if he had the chance, he had to comprehend the time laws. This thing was simply too important. If there really was a time array, according to the accurate calculation of 500 years in a day, 10 years would be more than 1.8 million years. In more than 1.8 million years, with the help of the law miniature, he might be able to successfully comprehend the fifth profound meaning of the law of life and death. The difference was not small. Qin Feiyang scanned his surroundings and asked suspiciously, I wonder where this Li Feng and the Ice Phoenix sword went to hunt skeletons and haven't returned yet? Why are you so stupid? Before leaving, why didn't you let the sword of the Grim Reaper establish a mind contract with the Ice Phoenix sword? The Gold Sun godly sword looked down on him. If there was a mind contract, then he could directly contact the other party. Ugh! Qin Feiyang was stunned. He really hadn't thought about this. First of all, he was still very unfamiliar with mind contracts. It was very easy to ignore them. Secondly, in his opinion, the Ice Phoenix sword and Li Feng would return after killing the skeletons in this area. But he didn't expect that they would be gone for 10 years. If Li Feng had been constantly hunting and devouring in these 10 years, then he should have grasped a supreme profound meaning by now. After all, he had the help of the Ice Phoenix sword. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze, looked at the Gold Sun Divine Sword, and said angrily, "Let me tell you, if you encounter something in the future, don't complain so easily." "I didn't say I was smart." Gold Sun Divine Sword snorted. "Did I say I was smart?" Qin Feiyang's veins popped. Every time he talked to this guy, he got angry. Gold Sun Divine Sword said, "You didn't say it, but that's what you think in your heart." Scram! Qin Feiyang glared at it angrily, raised his head to look in the direction where Li Feng and the Ice Phoenix sword had left, and said, "Since we can't contact them, then we can only continue to search in this direction." With that, Qin Feiyang stepped on the time and space walk, and tore through the air like lightning. The Death God's sword turned into a ray of light and disappeared into Qin Feiyang's body. Gold Sun Divine Sword and Silver Moon Divine Sword hesitated for a moment, then also entered Qin Feiyang's Qi, continuing to repair their bodies. Half a month passed. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Suddenly, a faint battle fluctuation came from the left. Could it be Li Feng and the Ice Phoenix sword? Qin Feiyang's heart trembled, and immediately turned around. As the distance got closer and closer, the battle fluctuations became stronger and stronger. Wait! About an hour passed. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang stopped above a mountain range, looking at the end of the world in front of him in shock. At this point, he could already clearly feel the surging battle fluctuations. These were the battle fluctuations of the Dominator Divine Weapon. Moreover, there were more than one or two of them. The aura was not unfamiliar. "It's the old devil and the others. Not good, they might be in trouble. Qin Feiyang, hurry over and take a look. Perhaps for you, this is an opportunity." Gold Sun Divine Sword's voice also sounded in Qin Feiyang's Qi. "That's right. Among them, 3 of the Dominator Divine Weapon's auras were the Green Cauldron, the Golden Bell, and the Ancient Pagoda. The other few Dominator Divine Weapon's auras, if his judgment was not wrong, were the Feng people's Fire Phoenix Divine Jade and Fire Phoenix Sword, as well as the Dragon's and Qilint's Dominator Divine Weapon. Could it be that the 3 great races were working together to subdue the Green Cauldron and the other 2 Dominator Divine Weapons? And he remembered that after returning the Fire Phoenix Divine Jade and Fire Phoenix Sword, the 2 Dominator Divine Weapons were with Princess Wufeng. The Fire Phoenix Divine Jade and Fire Phoenix Sword were in front, so Princess Wufeng must be there too. Whiz! Qin Feiyang restrained his aura and silently flew towards the battlefield. The battlefield was still far away. After all, it was a battle between Dominator Divine Weapons, and there were more than 1 or 2 of them. The battle fluctuations could naturally spread far and wide. About 4 hours passed. He finally got close to the battlefield. The terrifying destructive fluctuations could topple mountains and overturn seas, destroying everything in all directions. Qin Feiyang could not get any closer. Because with his strength, if he went any closer, he would be killed by the battle fluctuations. Since he could not get close to the center of the battlefield, he naturally could not see anything. "Do you need this sovereign to come out and help you?" the Thanatos sword asked. The 2 great swords were definitely unreliable. As for the ancient castle, frankly speaking, in the eyes of the Thanatos sword and the other Dominator Divine Weapons, the ancient castle's status was higher than Qin Feiyang's. Because the ancient castle had merged with the Black Tortoise realm, the Black Tortoise realm was equivalent to the ancient castle, and the ancient castle was equivalent to the Black Tortoise realm. If the ancient castle did not agree, even if Qin Feiyang agreed, they would not be able to enter the Black Tortoise realm, let alone the land of origin. Moreover, because it had merged with the Black Tortoise realm, the ancient castle was the easiest and fastest Dominator divine weapon to evolve. This was equivalent to saying the ancient castle was the boss of the Dominator divine weapons. Although the ancient castle had no intention of dominating, as long as the Dominator divine weapons were a little sensible, they would follow its lead. Therefore, it was naturally impossible for the Thanatos sword to hide and enjoy his life and let the ancient castle personally take action. Not yet. I'll walk around nearby first. The people of the three major races can't interfere in the battle of the Dominator divine weapons, so they might be hiding outside the battlefield. Let's figure out their details first before deciding what to do. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and secretly said something. He then activated the concealment technique and circled the battlefield from left to right, looking for them. About half an hour later, he circled to the other side of the battlefield. After a careful search, he finally saw 6 figures at the top of a giant mountain. One of them was Princess Huifeng. Of the remaining 5, 2 of them were also very familiar to Qin Feiyang. They were Qi Yefeng and the Silver Dragon's leader. Qi Yefeng naturally could not forget. The white-eyed wolf's law of life was stolen from her. This was their mortal enemy. As for the Silver Dragon's leader, although they had only met once before entering the Heavenly Bell Divine Treasure, Qin Feiyang had a deep impression of this person. Firstly, it was because of the little princess of the dragons. Secondly, it was because when they were ambushed in the Death Glacier, only the Silver Dragon's leader did not come. Therefore, at that time in the Heavenly Cloud Sea, he paid special attention to this super expert. The remaining 3 were 2 men and a woman. They all looked incomparably old, but their auras were unfathomable. Each of them had a sense of fatal danger lurking in their bodies. Qin Feiyang also had a little impression of these 3 people. They were the dragons, the Foam people, and the hidden experts of the Kirin clan. The so-called hidden experts were naturally existences who had mastered the ultimate profound. The 3 hidden experts stood side by side, looking at the center of the battlefield, their eyes shining. Princess Huifeng, the Silver Dragon's leader, and Qi Yefeng stood behind the 3 of them, looking at their backs with eyes full of reverence. Qin Feiyang observed for a moment, swept past the giant mountain without anyone noticing, and continued to search ahead. The battle was so intense. Perhaps there were other people lurking nearby. For example, the sea beasts and divine beasts of the land of buried gods and the Heavenly Cloud Sea. These were all his allies. If he could meet a few, then he would no longer be alone. If he could meet an ally who mastered the law of time, that would be even more perfect. Chapter 3703. However, searching around the edge of the battlefield, he did not meet anyone else. Helpless, Qin Feiyang could only return to the top of the mountain and secretly stare at Princess Huifeng and the others. But suddenly, he vaguely noticed that there was a giant mountain behind him, and on the top of the mountain, there seemed to be a figure flashing past. Qin Feiyang, with a trace of suspicion, turned around and flew to the top of the mountain. At that moment, he showed a surprised expression. The top of the mountain was broken and piled up with huge rocks. Behind one of the huge rocks, there was a person lying down. This was a middle-aged man, with a burly figure and fiery red hair, sneakily lying on the rock, staring at Princess Huifeng and the others on the giant mountain in front of him. Looking at the back of Princess Huifeng, there was a trace of killing intent hidden in his eyes. Qi Xiong. Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. He never thought that he would meet this person. At that time, he did not see Qi Ji in the sea of heavenly clouds. He only saw Qi Xiong and already knew that Qi Ji should have given this opportunity to Qi Xiong. After all, they were brothers. It was human nature for the older brother to take care of the younger brother. It was just that he did not expect to meet Qi Xiong so soon. Wait. Qi Yefeng and the reclusive old antiques of the Kirin clan were in front. Why didn't Qi Xiong join them? Why did he have to hide in the back alone? Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's gaze fell on the back of Princess Wufeng. It seemed that Qi Xiong intended to find an opportunity to get rid of Princess Wufeng here. After all, at that time in the Kirin Holy Land, Princess Wufeng also humiliated him. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. Then let's see who is the oriole. Qin Feiyang secretly smiled. Qi Xiong's existence may not only be against Princess Wufeng, but also against the silver dragons and the reclusive old antiques of the dragons. Green cauldron, ancient pagoda, golden bell, 3 sovereign-level divine weapons. That was a fatal temptation. Perhaps, this was all part of Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng's scheme. First, he would ask the dragons and the Feng people to help suppress the 3 sovereign divine weapons. Then, he would ask Qi Xiong to kill Princess Wufeng and the others. This way, the 3 sovereign divine weapons would fall into the Qilin clan's hands. Qi Xiong now also had the ability to do so. Since Qi Ji hadn't come, his sovereign weapon had to be in Qi Xiong's hands. No. Qi Xiaoyun seemed to have come to the Heaven Bell Divine Treasury as well. Could Qi Ji have given his sovereign weapon to Qi Xiaoyun? It was a little hard to guess. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. No matter who it was, he could not let Qi Xiong's scheme succeed. After all, the green cauldron, the golden bell, and the ancient pagoda had all helped him. At the center of the battlefield, there were a total of 7 sovereign-level divine weapons. On one side was the green cauldron, the ancient pagoda, and the golden bell. On the other side was the flaming phoenix god jade, the flaming phoenix sword, a silver divine bow, and a thin sword. The thin sword was Qi Yefeng's sovereign-level divine weapon. Back in the Qilin sacred ground, this sovereign-level divine weapon had caused Qin Feiyang and the others a lot of trouble. The divine bow was silver white, and the bowstring was as thin as a cow's hair. It shone with a dazzling divine light. This was the Silver Dragon clan's sovereign-level divine weapon, the Silver Dragon God Bow. The situation of 4 against 3 put the Green Cauldron's 3 sovereign-level divine weapons in a very passive situation. Although the Flaming Phoenix God Jade and the other 4 sovereign-level divine weapons couldn't suppress them, they still had the advantage in numbers. As long as the Flaming Phoenix God Jade and the others were given enough time, the 3 sovereign-level divine weapons would be defeated sooner or later. At the mountain peak ahead, the reclusive old man from the dragons suddenly smiled and said, "What a coincidence. We've come to the Heaven Bell Divine Treasury and encountered the Green Cauldron again." Indeed. Although I wasn't present the last time, I heard about it from others. Back then, our 3 races worked together to suppress it. The reclusive old man from the Qilin clan nodded and smiled. The former had white hair and was extremely old, while the latter had white hair and a ruddy face. He had a strong back and a strong waist. It was a stark contrast. It's a pity that the Feather Emperor interfered back then. What's worse is that he actually let him go. I really don't know what the Feather Emperor was thinking. He didn't want the sovereign-level divine weapon in front of him and insisted on being a good person. The reclusive old man from the Feng people snorted, his wrinkled face full of displeasure. It was an old woman in her 70s or 80s. She wore a fiery red robe and looked like a burning flame. Don't you know the Feather Emperor and the Human Emperor's character? They've always been good people. People like them are destined to have short lives. The reclusive old man from the dragon sneered. When Qin Feiyang heard this conversation, a trace of killing intent involuntarily flashed in his eyes. How dare they talk about the two old ancestors like this in front of him? This was unforgivable. All right. Let's join in as well. Although we're not a match for the sovereign-level divine weapon, we can at least assist the silver dragon god Bao and the others. This battle must end as soon as possible. Otherwise, who knows if there won't be any accidents. The reclusive old man from the Kirin clan had a cold glint in his eyes. All right. The reclusive old men from the dragons and the foam people nodded. Boom. In the next moment, the three of them unleashed a terrifying divine aura and leaped into the battlefield like lightning. You can participate in the battle between the sovereign-level divine weapons just by mastering the ultimate profundity of an ordinary law. Qin Feiyang was surprised. It's definitely impossible to fight against the sovereign-level divine weapon alone. But it's still possible to assist from the side. Moreover, it can also put some pressure on the sovereign-level divine weapon. The Golden Sun Divine Sword transmitted its voice. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and join in. This is a good opportunity. As long as you save the old devil and the others, they might change their minds and leave the Sky Bell Divine Treasure with you. The Silver Moon Divine Sword hurriedly urged. There's no rush. Qin Feiyang shook his head. There's still no rush. Let me tell you, if you wait until the old devil and the others are severely injured by the three races, the castle and the sword of the Grim Reaper won't be able to defeat the four sovereign-level divine weapons of the three races. Because we can't join in the battle now. The Golden Sun Divine Sword said. That's right. Qin Feiyang slapped his head. It turned out that he had planned to appear at the last moment. This way, the Green Cauldron, the ancient pagoda and the golden bell would be more grateful to him. But because of this, he had neglected the strength of the three races. The three races had four sovereign-level divine weapons and three reclusive old men. If he waited until the Green Cauldron, the ancient pagoda and the golden bell were severely injured, he would become the prey of the three races. It seemed that he had to act early. Because if he acted now, the castle, the sword of the Grim Reaper, the Green Cauldron and the other two sovereign-level divine weapons would be a 5 versus 4 situation. The odds of winning would always be on their side. At that thought, Qin Feiyang lowered his head and looked at Qi Xiong. The only uncertainty was whether Qi Ji's sovereign-level divine weapon was with Qi Xiaoyun or Qi Xiong. If it was with Qi Xiong, the three races also had 5 sovereign-level divine weapons. This was a situation where both sides were evenly matched. It would still be difficult for them to win. After all, the three races still had 3 reclusive old men. Killing him would be child's play. Qin Feiyang asked through voice transmission, in your current state, are you confident you can deal with those 2 old men? I don't think we can kill them, but we can definitely pin them down. Isn't it your fault? Why did you beat us up for no reason? Otherwise, I could have easily dealt with these small fries by myself. The more the 2 swords thought about it, the angrier they became. Qin Feiyang felt helpless when he heard the 2 swords' criticism. These 2 scoundrels were clearly the ones who were too shameless. But now, they were blaming him. Even if they wanted to shift the blame, they shouldn't do it like this. I'll endure it. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and said through voice transmission, if Qi Xiong really has a sovereign-level divine weapon, help me pin down those 3 old men. Leave the chief of the silver dragons, Qi Xiong, Princess Huifeng, and Qi Yefeng to me. No problem. The 2 swords replied. In fact, between a son and a younger brother, one would usually choose the son. In other words, the chances of Qi Ji giving the sovereign-level divine weapon to Qi Xiaoyun were higher. However, he thought that Qi Ji didn't play by the rules. Moreover, Qi Xiaoyun wasn't an ordinary person. Perhaps he was confident that he could survive in the Sky Bell Divine Treasury even without a sovereign-level divine weapon, so he gave the weapon to Qi Xiong. At the mountain peak below. At this moment, Qi Xiong seemed to be ready to make a move. Qin Feiyang noticed this, and his eyes flashed. He couldn't hold back anymore. It seemed like Qi Xiong and Qi Yefeng had planned this together. Suddenly, Qi Xiong moved. His aura was restrained to the extreme, and like a ghost lurking in the night, he silently approached the mountain peak. At the same time, Qi Yefeng, who was standing at the mountain peak, had a flash of light in her eyes. Obviously, Qi Xiong had secretly informed her. The two of them were planning to attack Princess Huafeng and the Silver Dragons from the inside. Princess Huafeng and the Silver Dragons were focused on the battlefield in front of them. They didn't notice Qi Xiong behind them, nor did they notice Qi Yefeng's abnormality. In fact, they never thought that Qi Yefeng and Qi Xiong would scheme against them. This was because before entering the Sky Bell Divine Treasury, the three races had already formed an alliance to search for opportunities and deal with Qin Feiyang together. Whether it was Princess Huafeng or the Silver Dragons, they were people who cared about the big picture. This point was not difficult to see from the fact that Fire Phoenix First Princess had let Bing Running go on White Crane Island. However, they cared about the big picture, but it didn't mean that others would. Whether it was Qi Yefeng or Qi Xiong, from what they did in the Qilin sacred ground, it was clear that they were selfish people. I didn't expect that I would have the chance to enjoy such a wonderful show. However, isn't it unwise for them to choose to attack at this time? Aren't they afraid that the dragons and foam people will fall out with them? The Golden Sun Divine Sword smiled mockingly. They won't. As long as they act quickly and quickly end their lives, the Fire Phoenix Divine Jade, the Fire Phoenix Sword, and the Silver Dragon Divine Bow won't be able to detect the accident that happened here. After all, the center of the battlefield is still a long way from here. Qin Feiyang thought to himself. And at this time, this area was flooded by the battle fluctuations of the Sovereign Divine Weapon. Even if Qi Yefeng and Qi Xiong's sneak attack didn't go so smoothly, and Princess Huafeng and the Silver Dragon God resisted, as long as the movement wasn't too big, it would be covered by the battle fluctuations of the Sovereign Divine Weapon. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.